we are thundering towards the halfway point of the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup and All-Stars, and well, what better place to do that than here at the Red Bull Ring in Spielberg, Austria. And welcome along to week number 5 of this championship for you. My name is Paul Smith, and alongside me, as always, is Arjuna Kankapati. And Arjuna, the All-Stars, they get to sample the sights and sounds of the Styrian Mountains.
Yeah, they get to enjoy this fast-flowing and technical Red Bull Ring. Yes, everyone's going to talk about draft, but let's not mistake ourselves. You got to make sure you're within track limits, Paul. I know you'll love to be talking about that to survive what's going to be an interesting, I'm sure, day here out in the Styrian Mountains.
Yeah, I promise I won't mention them much. But yes, we're going to have some fun here today at this track. We've got a sprint race of 10 laps, and then the main race a little bit longer. But here's the track that they're racing at then, Arjuna. 10 corners, and it's 2.6 miles long.
Plenty of history across of global motorsports here, but of course 63.5 meters. That's the climb from the lowest point at the track on the start finish line up in towards what is technically turn number 3. Total elevation change closer to 130 odd meters here, but you'll note the middle sector, double left-handing, winding, looping section. It's where we'll see a couple of side-by-side battles in the opening couple of laps, which is what drivers will want to avoid, letting those at the front break away around the 4.31 kilometer 10-turn Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, elevation is such a big thing around this venue, and it's a spectacular venue as well to go racing. And well, we're right in the middle of qualifying here in the All-Stars, so the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports All-Stars. And as I said earlier, 10-lap sprint race, and then the whole field is inverted for the main race in terms of the grid positions, with the main race being 16 laps long. So plenty of time for these All-Stars to have a bit of fun, and I'm sure we'll also have a bit of fun with the All-Stars as well.
Oh, my favorite part of a Saturday is going and disturbing some of these drivers during the race. I did see Matt Malone went and clipped our little section with him and Yardier at the Circuit of the Americas, and so I'll direct any royalties, Matt, over to the team at iRacing.
Forget iRacing, they should have the royalties come to us. But speaking of information about the championships here today, also on how to become a driver as well, head on over to iRacing.com/PESC, where you can keep an eye on which tracks we're going to be at, when, and what the championship standings are as well for the drivers and teams out there. So iRacing.com/PESC for all the information that you need about this, the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup and All-Stars. And well, the All-Stars right now, Matt Malone is on screen right now, coming out of turn 3. I know it feels like turn 2, but it officially is turn 3, is that one, and then plunge downhill towards the 4th turn. There's tight hairpin downhill braking, and this middle sector here, this double apex left-hander, really tricky. Drivers having to balance things along. And speaking of driving this track, well, you could drive this track as well if you head on over to iRacing.com. If you're interested in becoming a new member, well, now's the time to do that, because there is currently 40% off all of new memberships here on iRacing.com, and you never know, you could end up racing around this circuit your very self, so do check on that. But yeah, certainly the Red Bull Ring, it is an intriguing round of the championship for them, and it's going to be tricky for them to get things right.
You didn't mention it there. Technically turn 3, not turn 2. And the reason we'll have that on that climb up out of turn 1 is that 2 wheels is something that comes and races around the Red Bull Ring a lot. And when you're on a motorcycle, that left-hander that leads into the heavy braking zone, you better believe that's one scary corner.
Here's the grid then. Here's Casey Kerwin and Pablo Lopez on the front row of the grid, with Tyson Mayer and Emily Jones, row number 2. Dave Cameron and Javier Soto, row number 3. And then on the 4th row of the grid, it's Dan Suzuki with Xavier Sanchez alongside him. Jaroslav Hontig and Christian Ortega, row number 5. Matt Malone and Lyubov Australia Oh my goodness, I've already butchered it. Put the teeth in there, Paul. Borja Zaza and Oliver Fernal on the back row of the grid. Of course, all those drivers known more by their their names and Twitch handles, but certainly those drivers, they're all streaming to Twitch or YouTube, depending on their particular streaming avenue. But drivers getting themselves prepared. We've just got a few seconds left. First race, it's all going to be, you would imagine, at the front of the race, it's going to be Casey Kerwin and Pablo Lopez, given how they raced against each other at the last round at Kota. But here we are for round number 5, sprint race at Red Bull Ring, and it's a brilliant start from Pablo Lopez from the front row of the grid, down the inside in towards turn number 1 on Casey Kerwin. Through turn 1 they go, and it is Lopez who gets the run, and well, Quirk is also getting a good run here through the exit of turn 1, and well, from pole position to 3rd place for Casey Kerwin here as they head on through turn number 2, that sweeping left-hander into the braking zone, uphill braking, and look at the gap that the front 3 have already got over the rest of the field, who are going 3 wide into that turn number 3. And somehow everybody survives through turn 3. Plunge downhill now towards this right-hander. This is an overtaking opportunity down here into this right. Coltizer brakes and Quirk to the inside of Pablo Lopez, but Lopez hangs it out around the outside here, Arjuna.
Yeah, but here comes Casey Kerwin, almost making it 3 wide on their run into that middle sector where we did mention earlier, if you fight side by side, it might allow a bit of a breakaway. When you fight at the front, it allows those behind that were squabbling earlier to join the pack once again. Quirk now goes from the lead momentarily back down to 3rd position as Pablo Lopez will lead us into the final couple of corners. Let's see how wide they'll run in these GT4 machines with relatively limited downforce.
Yeah, this is really going to be one of those circuits that they try those drivers out and try the ability to keep the car on track. But as they come through the final corner across the line again, so it is Pablo Lopez, Casey Kerwin, Quirk. Emery has joined up to the back of them here as well. So Emery has reeled them in with them fighting each other. Speaking of fighting each other, Dan Suzuki and Dave Cam were fighting each other across the line as well. There's action all the way through the field. Unfortunately for one driver, Love 46, she's all the way at the back on her own. So something has happened to her in this race as we carry on. Lap number 2 of this race. And still, they're together, dives further back into turn number 3. The drivers try to sort themselves out in the early going here.
And now all settles down for the time being. Casey not close enough to Pablo to really mount a challenge. Let's not forget we do have championship standings that we are tracking. Our top 5 in points win Tag Heuer connected watches, and Casey Kerwin has got 176 points. Second best, Emily Jones, 93 points. It's almost 100 points that Casey Kerwin has over the rest of the field. Lauren Heinrich was one that we saw challenging Casey in some of the Porsche Cup races that we had. Pablo Lopez joining our all-star grid. He looks feisty in this GT4, but let's not forget, Paul, we've got one more race in this Cayman. That will be 7 days from today before we switch on over to, I think, what is going to go down as one of the legendary Porsche racing machines, the 911 RSR.
Oh, and what a sound that RSR makes as well. Not that the sound of this Cayman isn't bad at all, but I was there at Spa-Francorchamps a number of years ago, and well, it was the RSR that also almost made me deaf from this. But we have got some friends joining us throughout this race. Arjuna, we've got Dave Cam.
We do have Dave Cam. Dave, welcome to the Red Bull Ring, and welcome to a track where your piggy bank of incident limits overflows at times, but you've got to be somewhat careful with it in the race.
Yeah, I'm up to 5 already. We're on lap 3. I'm trying to save some for later on in case it does get scrappy. So I'm just quite happy sitting here just for the moment and seeing how things pan out, to be honest.
You sound like one of our World Championship drivers, Dave. They always talk about banking the incident points for the end of the race. This Cayman at the Red Bull Ring, a lot of people will talk about the draft, but the Red Bull Ring is a technical track that you've got to make the most of by yourself.
Absolutely. If you can have as much draft as you want. If you don't get the exits right out of turn 1 and turn 3, I think it is, well, the draft doesn't mean a thing if you don't get the run.
In terms of passing, we're seeing the leaders fighting side by side. That's good for you. You're catching up. But then where would you like to try and get the moves done?
I think it's going to be out of turn 1, I think. I think it's probably my best opportunity. I think Yeah, into turn number 3 maybe, if you get a good run down there, and you can get it done around the outside. But I think either out of turn 1, if somebody gets to slow down, that might be an opportunity, or into turn 3.
Well, we'll let you go and focus, because in front of you, it's getting a little bit feisty. Paul, they were almost 3 wide into the penultimate corner.
Yeah, it certainly was getting a bit feisty, a bit closer. Now Quirk in second is under pressure from Casey Kerwin. It was Kerwin who was trying to make the move on Pablo Lopez, and now he's dropped back down to 3rd place. Emery's there, so too's Dan Suzuki, so too's Dave Cam. Stradi, Yardier, well, I mean, we could pretty much say the entire field are all there in one long line. It is great stuff here in the early going, with 7 laps to go already in this race. It is fast, it's frenetic. It is the Porsche Supercup, and we're getting joined by another one of our drivers, Arjuna.
And now we disturb Emily Jones, who runs in 4th position. What were you thinking about potential 3-wide shenanigans into the penultimate corner there?
I was all for it. I love this aggression from Quack. It's great. I want to crash. Do it.
So you're hoping he'll take the other 2 out in front of you, and then you'll sail on through to the lead. I see what you're hoping for.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would like. It's pretty good so far. I'm doing like I'm like the camera car again, like last week. So that's good.
I do have to ask the question. You've got Quirk's car in second. What do you think about that paint scheme that has divided, I think, our Twitch chat?
Is it Tony Kanaan or is it Quirk in second? I can't tell. They look the same on my... It's great. What can I say?
It is great. In terms of the Red Bull Ring, track limits, something we've previously talked about with Dave Cam. How do you enjoy your incident limits here? What are you up to so far?
Look, I'm up to... Oh, God. Well, I was up to 2. And wait, I'm still up to 2. It's okay. I don't enjoy it. I don't like having to go up to an incident limit. And to be really quick here, you need to use all of the incidents. But yeah, I'm just trying to keep them for the last lap when we all inevitably crash into each other, I'm sure.
And then you'll be fully inverted, and we'll do it again in the second race. Thanks for joining us once again, Emily, and I'm sure you've got plenty more camera car duties to serve for us here at iRacing, rather.
So there we go. That was Emily Jones. And the thing is, I managed to distract her enough so that she actually dropped off the back of the top 3, which is not ideal. As we'll look back now to Basic Ollie. He's down the order a little bit in 12th place right now, and he's coming through the screen right now and through towards that final turn. That turn number 4. Such a crucial turning point, Arjuna, isn't it?
Yeah, because this is also a track where I find it quite interesting that you've got uphill and downhill braking zones, right? When you go uphill, gravity works in your favor. You can brake that little bit later, allow the uphill to slow you down. When you go down the hill, you're a little bit more scared. You've got to brake earlier because the car is falling away from you. The benefit that these drivers have, of course, Paul, is anti-lock brakes as well as traction control on power down, which means that they don't have to worry too much about really lighting up any one corner of the car's tires, which, as many people know, is something you want to try and avoid doing here on iRacing.
And well, we've got joining us Basic Ollie right now. You're down the pack a little bit in 12th place, but you're still in the thick of things, aren't you?
Oh yeah, the fighting back here, to be fair, has been absolutely incredible. We're having some great fights here with Matt Malone and Borgia behind. It's you'd think we're fighting for P1. Why it's already gone, but yeah, it's been brilliant. This is a great little combo. These cars are around the Red Bull Ring. It's promoting some really good racing at the moment.
Well, I was going to ask you, how are you finding the Cayman compared to the Cup car that we were racing for the first 3 rounds? I mean, these cars, it seems that you can really fight them.
Yeah, you can really fight them. I have to say, I do prefer the Porsche Cup. I think, you know, it's got like a certain risk to it, the Porsche Cup, where this feels very safe. But yeah, I think with this thing, you can just absolutely rag it. But yeah, it's one of those cars you really have to find every like 10th. It just makes such a difference, especially this track as well. You know, the qualifying times are so close, and the track limits as well. Let's not talk about them. Let's not talk about them.
Well, let's just quickly touch on how, before the last round and also this round, you've been getting tech advice from the rest of the championship, your competitors. I mean, it shows what a good community of drivers we have here in the All-Stars, don't we?
Oh yeah, I mean these group of drivers here are absolutely immense. You know, if you've got any sort of issues or anything like that, they're very kind. They'll help you out as soon as they can. And yeah, it's a great group of people to race against for sure.
Well, Ollie, we'll let you get away and concentrate on the racing, but all the best for the rest of your race.
Thank you, mate. Take care, guys.
So we go, Basic Ollie joining us in the commentary booth for that one, down in 12th place, but certainly keeping the track of things in front of him here as well. But speaking in front, Casey Kerwin's back ahead of Quirk now, up into 2nd place, and he's getting onto the tail of Pablo Lopez. It seems, Arjuna, that Lopez seems to be sit at front and just keep on seeing a different name coming up into 2nd place.
Well, it's basically the question of, is it Casey or Quirk that's really pushing the issue right now? He seems pretty settled, pretty calm. The one thing that you'll note, though, is just how, even though there have been a little bit of gaps that have formed between some of the cars, it hasn't really blown wide open in some of the ways that these all-star races have over the previous 4 rounds of the championship that we've had. And so I get the sense that the reverse grid race that we'll have, of course, after we finish the next 3.5 odd laps, is going to be a lot more frantic, because it's going to be a lot harder for drivers to work their way through all of the drivers that they're now going to be starting behind, as Matt Malone and Kenny 500 duke it down the hill in towards Schlossgold.
Yeah, this is such a tricky part, and Malone tried to hang it around the outside. You can make the move around the outside there, but you are leaving yourself vulnerable. Malone to the inside. Turn number 5, not able to make that move stick quite yet, although, there we go. Kenny 500 staying ahead for the time being, but basically he's loitering with intent behind, as well as that race lead battle as well. Casey Kerwin and Pablo Lopez side by side, and Kerwin's going to go around the outside, carry the speed. He takes the lead ahead of Pablo Lopez. Meanwhile, Quirk's trying to follow along, and Emery is saying, "Oh, you're having a bit of a fight. I'll join in the fun here then."
Backs out of that one and cuts back into line, though, does Emily Jones, as they run themselves out of turn number 1 and towards the hill. Kerwin got aggressive with the defense early, going all the way to the inside wall, and I think now with 3 to go, GoPro Lopez, the Pulpo Lopez and Casey Kerwin are going to go back and forth, hammer and tong. The Team PGZ car not close enough to have a look in towards turn number 3, but now it's that run down into Schlossgold that maybe we'll see the 504 pop out and try and make the move.
You know how every week we try and put off Casey Kerwin from this championship, and
he's not letting us now.
He's not letting us. He's managed to mute himself in the comms channel here, so we can't speak to him, which is, I believe, is totally unacceptable. And I think he should be disqualified from the race. Exactly.
Throw him out right now. We'll just see him disappear from the screen. It will be amazing. The other alternative is we could dock some points from him.
Yeah.
He's got such a big championship advantage. Why don't we make him start from 0?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he's been so good. Let's see how he can do it again and accumulate those points. Well, it is Kerwin at the front, ahead of GoPro Lopez in 2nd. Quirk still in 3rd, but is looking to be loitering with intent, with Emily Jones, Emery in 4th place. Now, Quirk, he's not shying going forward, is he? He's one that will make a move. I mean, we had him making all sorts of weird and wonderful noises one round of the championship here in the commentary box, but he's really sticking it to the front 2 here. This is great stuff to see.
Oh, and he got a little bit close into turn number 1 there to the back of the Team PGZ car of the Pulpo Lopez. And now maybe going to be more on the far from behind is Emily Jones, already alongside and popping out to the outside as they rise up 63 meters in towards turn number 3. Emily Jones a little bit later on the brakes, but Quirk, as ever, committed to the inside and holds on to the spot.
Oh, manages to just hold on to... Oh, we're going 3 wide going into turn number 3 here. Basic Ollie, Kenny 500. We've got Porsche Zazo. We've got Matt Malone. It's 4 wide on corner exit. Well, they somehow managed to find room to not trip over each other, and Matt Malone is going to be the one potentially who sees the benefit of it all in towards the turn now. Turn number 4, Malone's deep on the brakes. Ollie's going on the up and under, and he's going to get that move done. Beautifully done by Basic Ollie, but Malone, he's still there. He's still fighting alongside him, and we've got 2x2 for Caymans through turn number 5 into turn number 6 here, Arjuna. This is tremendous stuff, and like Ollie said earlier, you'd imagine that this was for the lead.
Absolutely, and Basic Ollie proves to us there that inside does not always win on that run into the first of the double left-handers. It's all about taking advantage of the opportunities that you are given, and so as they now settle themselves out, at least for the time being, in this fight for the final spot inside of the top 10, we come across the line to take one more lap to go in that fight for the race lead. Bit of separation between first and second, and third and fourth and fifth, as they all now scramble out of turn number 1. One final climb into turn 3 in the sprint race.
Dave Cam has actually joined that lead battle. It's worth pointing out he's got ahead of Dan Suzuki during the race, and he's tagged on to the rear of Emily Jones' car. So there's racing action aplenty as the leaders go through turn 3. No change there at the front. What about that race for 10th place? They're diving into the hairpin. Well, they'll sort themselves out through there, but it's the race for the lead that we're going to focus on now. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, all together here on track into turn number 4. Kerwin a little bit wide, missed the apex. Pablo Lopez trying to carry the speed through there. Looking back, Malone and Basic Ollie again into the right-hander, onto the brakes, and Malone is able to hold on to that move, but he's giving, well, more than enough space to Basic Ollie through the rest of that corner. But we're heading in towards the final few corners here at the front of your field. And it's still Casey Kerwin from Pablo Lopez. Kerwin now is weaving. He's already trying to put off Lopez through the penultimate corner. They go. Just one more corner to go. Be careful not to run too far wide. You can get yourself a slowdown penalty if you do. But Kerwin doesn't do that. He's going to be a race winner here in the All-Stars. Across the line, flash of the lights. It's Casey Kerwin who wins the sprint race here in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports All-Stars. And Basic Ollie's being turned around by Kenny 500. Kenny 500, to be fair, is waiting for Ollie to go through. That's gentlemanly driving. But my goodness, that battle for 10th place was intense all the way to the very end. Here's your unofficial race results. It is Kerwin from Lopez, Quirk and Emery with Dave Cam in 5th place. Dan Suzuki finishes in 6th ahead of Stradi, Jardier, Heike 360 and Matt Malone rounds out your top 10. In 11th place then, it was the driver of Borjazazo with Basic Ollie in 12th. Kenny 500 then does the gentlemanly thing to hold back and finish in 13th. And Love 46, after an incident at the start of the race, finishes in 14th place. Well, let's have a look then, Arjuna, at the car that they were in compared to the car that they are in now.
And this, of course, is what we've got, of course, coming up in store. 718 Cayman versus the Porsche Cup car that we'll see in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup. In terms of the base of the car, the 718 Cayman, of course, different chassis, mid-engine car compared with the traditional rear-engine 911. But that 911 Cup car, a little bit stripped down in terms of the weight, of course, a little bit more power that comes out of a very similar base engine. That Cup car, Paul, I'm not sure if you knew this, recently they just produced the 5,000th Cup car that has gone to customers around the world. That is the very top level of Porsche customer racing, the 718 Caymans, where you start all the fun.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a GT4 spec car, so if you are wanting to go racing and you've got a spare few $100,000 in your bank, then, well, that Cayman is certainly a very capable car for you to go motor racing in. But we have got the main race of the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports All-Stars coming up for you right now. It is Love 46 and Kenny 500 who share row number 1. Basic Ollie and Borjazazo on row number 2. Matt Malone and Heike 360 on the 3rd row of the grid. Jardier and Stradi then on row number 4 with Dan Suzuki and Dave Cam on row number 5. Emery and Quirk share row number 6. And then on the back row of the grid, it is Pablo Lopez and Casey Kerwin. So that is the grid, how they will start this race. Arjuna, you touched on it in that sprint race. It was proving difficult for drivers to be able to overtake here. how difficult is going to be for Lopez, Kerwin and Quirk to all try and make their way through?
Question is going to be, how hard do they all fight for what is now 16 laps in this main race? Because we did see that battle for 10th really drop off as the final laps ticked on by, and so I would expect that if those at the front play together, it will be hard for Casey Kerwin, GoPro Lopez, and for Quirk to work their way on forward, but anything can happen here in the Styrian Mountains.
It certainly can as well. Casey Kerwin's getting himself ready for the start at the very back of the grid. How rude of you not to have us muted.
I know, I'm sorry. I kind of thought about it. Someone said after the race, I was like, oh yeah, I was sitting here muted. I ruined it, I'm sorry.
Well, we're going to be seeing you take to the start of this race from the very back of the grid. How tricky is it going to be to work your way through here?
It'll probably be really tricky, honestly, unless there's a lot of carnage that we were able to miss, because the speed is really close here. It's the closest it's been the whole season, so and with the GT4 and the draft, it kind of keeps it more of a pack, so it's going to be kind of sort of like a DRS train, if you would, so it'll be a little bit harder to pass, so yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm going to try not have grandma reaction times here. Hold on.
Well, he says he's not going to have a grandma reaction times, but of course he's got me talking in his ear as well as we go green flag racing here at the Styrian Mountains and, well, Red Bull Ring. Pablo got a much better start than you, Casey. What's going on there? Come on.
I need my rolling starts, man. I'm just an old NASCAR guy, you know. We need a couple, like, pace slaps to warm up and get our reaction times going. These standing starts are just not for me, you know.
Well, we've got two wide action in front of you then. Your camera car here. These two, they were fighting with you in race number one. What are you going to do? Around the outside. Come on, make it 3 wide. You can do that.
Oh, we've had a touch. We're fine.
We've had a touch up front as well. We've got a car around. It's Love 46 who's around at the back of the field, unfortunately. Well, Casey, you go and enjoy your racing now, man. I think we've disturbed you enough.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
So there we go. That was the start from on board with Casey Kerwin getting live reactions there, Arjuna. This is what the All-Stars bring us, isn't it?
I think that is also a little bit of a penance paid for very rudely not letting us chat with him in race number one. Maybe we'll disturb him again over the course of the 16 laps. All of the result of the drama up at turn number 3 as Otareskovskaya went around is that Kenny 500 now leads by 1.6 odd seconds as they work their way into the final sector. The likes of Emily Jones, Dave Cam, Quirk, Casey Kerwin, and GoPro Lopez starting to work their way through the field. 504 of the Pulpo Lopez is up to 7th.
Yeah, up 6 places already in this race. A real boon start for him as he is Heike 360. Oh, what's running really wide there is Emery, so not an ideal line through the final corner, and I think Emery will be getting a slow down penalty through that. Look to the inside, Bolshazazo on Jardier. These two battling for second place because Kenny 500 has run away at the front, and we've got drama. Oh my goodness, it's Quirk, it's Casey Kerwin, and it's Emily Jones, all off on the inside at the exit of turn number 1.
You have to assume that anti-cut curb on the outside had some part to play in that, and it now means that Yaroslav Honzik, the only one in the top 4 in the points, not to now have been involved in that incident, is in a great spot to be able to try and challenge Emily Jones in our unofficial championship standings. My goodness, more drama here in Austria.
It is big drama, and well, look at this. You've got this tremendous race for second place. Bolshazazo, Jardier, Matt Malone, Dan Suzuki is there, Stradi, Pablo Lopez, Heike 360, they're all together. Here's what happened then. So I believe that Emily did actually have a slow down. Oh, she's lost it. Over the cut curb, and around it goes.
I'm pretty sure there was a bit of contact with Dave Camp maybe as he came through turn 1, as well as we rejoin live pictures and the 504 of the Team PGZ car around the outside of Stradi.
Dan Suzuki went for a little bit of a half spin as well as we cut back to live pictures there. So Dan's down a place. Oh, Matt Malone's around. Penultimate corner. Is he going to get wiped out? Well, this has been absolute carnage as this opening to this main race. Malone's facing the wrong way, driving the wrong way down the track. Careful of your rejoin there, Matt. And yeah, does keep out the way. But Stradi is on pit road. Matt hits the end of the pit wall. which is suboptimal, to say the least. But, well, it's been drama, apart from one driver at the very front. 3.4 seconds in the lead is Kenny 500. Could this be the first win for Kenny?
It's why it's so important to scamper away if they fight behind you, because you can really establish a healthy separation with which you can then play with for the rest of the race. It was a quiet sprint race, if we're being honest, Paul. Yes, Otterevskaya had the issue at the start of the race that saw her dive down onto pit lane, but apart from that, really not too much until we saw the very end basic ollie going around. This, in the first 2.5 laps, absolute chaos.
Yeah, it's almost like they all had the sensible pill for race number 1, and then they just went, oh, let's take the red pill for the second race, and decided to have a bit more fun. Well, one driver who is having fun out there is Pablo Lopez, up to 4th place right now after starting at the very back of the grid. 13th place for him. 9 places gained already, and he's looking to the inside and goes past Borja Zarzo up into a podium place now for Lopez. But, well, we need to take a step back and gather what happened there then, Arjuna.
From up above, we see the first little contact between Dan Suzuki and Matt Malone, and this is through then the second part, and it just comes right as they get to the apex. Suzuki almost like a pendulum going around, not much that he could realistically do, does a good job to lock it down in time, and then into the penultimate corner, all by his lonesome, Matt Malone gets the car just a little bit loose and sideways with a bit too much speed, and I tell you what, they did a good job initially to get out of the way, and then Strati, with nowhere to go, gets broadsided.
Yeah, it's very difficult when suddenly cars pass in front of you and you're just met by a car that's facing sideways in front of you. So, yeah, Strati, nowhere to go. Still sat on pit road. I think that's going to be game over for him. Matt Malone has got back out of the pits. The drivers do get a free repair here in this championship, so it is encouraging them to get back out there and to get to race. And so, yeah, that's why Malone is back out there on track. But right now, Jardier, we know how quick that Jardier can be, but he's got he's got Pablo Lopez behind him, and we've seen how rapid Lopez has been, even just from, what, 3 races now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He's someone that, again, has been part of the top level of iRacing competition, going back to the iRacing Grand Prix World Championship days. I'm sure you can go back and find some GoPro videos of that 504 being involved in some really exciting stuff. Paul, today's date, April 1st, I woke up to some Instagram posting from Lawrence Van Thor that got me very excited. He said he was going to be driving a Porsche 963 car for some demonstration laps around my second favorite track in the world, the Nordschleife. He then posted on Instagram a couple of hours later that it was April Fool's, and I've just got to say, if Lawrence comes back to join us for the All-Star Series, I will ask him why he disappointed me so much.
Well, one driver that we can speak to, though, Arjuna, is Pablo Lopez right now, who's working his way through the field.
Absolutely. You've gone from the back up to 3rd. Pablo, I mean, how are you going to try and get past Yardier? Because he's got a smile, and he's trying to make sure that you don't stop him from smiling.
I don't want to hit him like in Kota first lap. And always it's nice to fight with Yardier, but I for real think we can get P1 both, because we are going faster than Kenny, but ooh.
I like the optimism. I do have to ask, you say you don't want to hit him. How many incidents did you get in the sprint race as you ran all by yourself at the front, just trying to keep everyone behind you?
I didn't get much incidents, though. It was more the incidents at Kota.
Interesting. Ah, okay. You're looking very focused right now. You say you've got a chance to catch Kenny 500. Does talking to us slow you down? Is this a good distraction for you?
Yeah. That's why you do it to me now, I guess.
How much fun have you been having, Pablo? It's been great. You asked to join the series. You've got to be part of the fun at the Circuit of the Americas. You're back with us, and you've got a huge smile on your face as well.
Yeah, I am having a really great time. After 10 days working in the Netherlands without simulator, it's good to be back here in the cockpit and enjoy some races with really nice people and with iRacing in Porsche eSports All Stars.
We'll let you focus a little bit on trying to get past Yardier because you're up the inside on the run into turn number 3. Thanks for joining us. Pablo will continue to distract you just that little bit longer, Paul. He's now up to second.
Yeah, nice move there done on that position up into second place. And the question is now, with about 11 laps, 10.5 laps remaining of this race, can he charge down Kenny 500? I think if I'm Kenny 500, I'd be looking at my relative box and thinking, oh no.
10 laps to go this time by as well, which is basically the distance of the sprint race. We really haven't added too many laps above what we had for that shorter race distance, which does mean that tires maybe not such a big factor. You do put a decent amount of load through them, Paul, because you have these long sweeping corners where you're just always ever patient trying to get to full throttle.
Yeah, you certainly are, but Lopez then moving through to try and get that place, and we're joined by another one of our drivers, Jardier. Well, Lopez, we tried to distract him as much as we could for you, but he got by in the end.
Yeah. I literally, my plan was not to hold him because I think maybe Pablo will be catching Kenny in front and I will be in a slipstream, you know, catching as well. So that's my plan right now, to stay behind as long as possible, if I can actually.
Well, tactics, you know, that's going to be a big thing. Yeah, how strong has the slipstream been here at the Red Bull Ring for you this week?
I mean, I think it's different, right? Something changed in iRacing, so it's a bit lower. Oh.
And that'll be a slow down penalty. Yeah, slow down penalty for Pablo Lopez. Well, he obviously thinks that you're faster, so therefore he wants you back in front.
Yeah. He wanted the DRS for the next corner, you know?
But, you know, do you think with 10 laps to go, that 9.5 laps to go, do you think you can charge down Kenny 500 and potentially get a win?
So I really hope we can. Maybe the tires will play some matter into it, because we definitely were catching a little bit now, but in the past 2 laps I think we lost a bit as well because we were swapping the positions. But I think Pablo, if he's gonna go ahead, I think he can catch for sure.
Well, Jardier, you go concentrate and drive fast, my friend. All the best.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
So there we go. Joined by our drivers. It's always great to speak to these drivers during these races whilst we go along. But yeah, Jardier up to second place then after that slow down penalty. And it shows how brutal, Arjuna, those track limits can be when it comes to the slow down penalties as well.
Got to be pixel perfect around here. You really cannot afford to cut just that little bit too much. And you saw how drastic an impact that was as well, how much Pablo was slowing down to try and clear the penalty that he had received. It's not insignificant. Yardier, by the way, big smile on his face because this is, according to social media, his second favorite track in the world. What's his favorite track, you may ask? Well, it's a track that we'll be visiting later this year. It will be the Nürburgring Nordschleife.
I thought you were going to say Watkins Glen, but
yes. that's a topic for next week, and you and I want to try and avoid that topic as much as possible.
Well, one thing I will say is the action is going to come thick and fast in the next 2 weeks here in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup and All-Stars because, well, we've got racing for you today as Jardier very kindly lets Pablo go, but please go past me. You set the pace there, is what Jardier is saying. But we've got racing here this week and also next week as well. So the action's going to be coming thick and fast for you all, and we're going to be keeping everyone on their toes. But Pablo Lopez then, to second place. They have been closing up to Kenny 500 on that last lap as well. So they really are trying their best with 9 laps to go. 8 laps to go at the line. They are going to be trying the best to move forward. But, well, we're going to be joined by even more drivers here, Arjuna.
Absolutely. We're joined now by Kenny 500, who leads by 3 seconds. How nervous are you feeling, Kenny? Are you sweating a little bit right now?
Yeah, Pablo is so fast. So I try to make all the fastest lap.
How much racing have you and Pablo done in the past together? How much do you guys know each other?
Whoa, almost 50 races, and we are teammates in the past.
There we go. So you guys know each other well. When you were able to break away at the front of the field at the start of this race, what were you thinking when you saw all of the smoke behind you?
I think, yeah, unless I have more space.
Gotcha.
But only 2 seconds right now, so I think he gets me.
Okay, well, one more question, we'll let you go and focus. You've got the track map of Laguna Seca over your shoulder. Paul Smith doesn't like Laguna Seca. Why do you like it?
Well, I don't know. It's a nice circuit, mythical circuit for me, and I like it. I don't know why.
Yeah. Don't worry, you're right, Paul Smith is wrong. Best of luck, you've got now 1.7 seconds to get back to Pablo Lopez, who is coming fast. Paul, Laguna Seca's great, I'm telling you.
If everybody looked the same, we'd get tired of looking at each other. The great words sung by the Groove Armada, and quite frankly, I have the same thing about racetracks. If everybody liked the same racetrack, then we'd all be tired of racing. So yeah, it's everybody's got an opinion. It's just that some of us have got the right one. As we go into the battling a bit further back here, because well, that's Heike 360 in front of us. Dave Cam that we were on board with right there. It's a 5-car gaggle here. Basic Ollie is leading that one ahead of Heike 360. Dave Cam, Dan Suzuki and Love 46. Casey Kerwin, Quirk and Emily Jones have not been able to make headway on these 5 cars in front of them.
No, their tussle out of turn number 1 really compromised them in this one. You mentioned it, I think, before we started the broadcast, Paul, and the fact that, yes, we're tracking the championship. There are drop rounds as well. We've said that Pablo may be out of contention, you know, because he's only joined us here in this phase with the Cayman. Is going to be side by side up in towards turn number 3. Basic Ollie concedes the position to Heike 360, but if it continues like this and Pablo carries the speed over to the Porsche 911 RSR and then over to the Porsche Mission R, which will of course play host to our final round of the All-Stars, we may still have excitement in the championship left to come.
Heike 360 looking to defend the inside there from Basic Ollie, who's got ahead as Heike 360 now, so he's trying to pull away. Love 46 at the back of this group as well, so they're enjoying it. And Arjuna, we're now joined by Matt Malone in the commentary box with the greatest mustache in the whole grid.
Yes, but no Lederhosen. I was hoping you'd make up for your lack of the cowboy hat last week, Matt.
No, yeah, well, you know, I got a system. It's working. I just show up. I go ahead and throw oil in the stash, and we're good to go.
Gotcha. Talk to us about what happened then earlier in this race through the penultimate corner. Did you employ the Malone shuffle to lock that car down in time?
Oh man, you know, every time in a main race, I seem to start out really well, and then I have like a self-inflicted wound. No, I think I was just going too fast because I saw second and third place ahead of me. They were battling, and I'm like, all right, here's my chance to get a really good run onto the front stretch. And I think I just was on throttle too much, hit the curb, the car got unsettled, and traction control kicked in, and I was just a passenger.
That is a distinct lack of racing driver excuses, Matt. So I do like to see that. I also have to say, I saw that you clipped our little interview segment with Yardier and put it on your YouTube channel. Can you direct any royalties over to iRacing, please?
Yeah, no, that's not gonna happen. I got diapers to purchase because we got another kid coming to the family tomorrow. So yeah, no, all the money earned from all of your content, all the content that I stole from you guys, that's all going to my bank account. All 14 cents of it.
We'll let you go because the leaders are catching you right now, so you may have some traffic in your mirrors. But always great to catch up with you, Matt, and looking forward to seeing you back at Watkins Glen in 7 days' time.
Yeah, hopefully I'll make it. Hopefully I will. I'll have the newborn strapped to my chest. We'll make it happen.
Well, best of luck to you and to your partner, Matt Malone, joining us once again, Paul.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Always fun, always a good one to have join us. But we're having to focus at the front here because with 5 laps to go as they go across the line here, Pablo Lopez has caught up to Kenny 500 there at the head of the field. Well, Kenny 500, this is the thing with this track. If you can place your car in the right place at the right time, you can defend around here, but it's not easy.
It's one, though, where you just have to think that Pablo has been able to close from such a far distance back that it's almost inevitable, and he'll shape up to the inside as they rise up in towards turn number 3 once again. The Team PGZ car trying to squeeze Kenny 500 to the outside, but it's not going to be a repeat of Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc instead. Racing room is given, and they're still side by side in towards turn number 4.
There's a novel concept, racing room given. But anyway, as they go down towards turn number 4, Kenny 500, it was the drive out the corner that really helped him there. And again, he's hanging it around the outside. He can get on the power sooner with the outside line. Oh, a little bit of a squeeze there as they're going through towards turn number 5 then. So Kenny's got the inside line now. So now Pablo Lopez ducks in. He's going to dive under potentially into turn number 6. No, going to hang behind for the time being. They've got time. This is the thing. These two have got time, and the more that they fight each other, the more that Jardier comes into this one. And look at that defensive line, hard defensive line from Kenny 500. These two know each other, and you can tell.
Former teammates, I didn't know that detail, to be honest, which is really interesting to hear. Kenny 500, bit wide through the penultimate corner, and Pablo down the inside. Look at Jardier, though, with more momentum as they run themselves to the line. We may see 3 wide with 4 laps left to go.
This is fantastic. Oh, Lopez is around. He's around. Oh, my goodness. Porsche Zaza just misses them. And Pablo Lopez, he tried to weave down the straight, and he was just too close to the front of Kenny 500's car. That turns him. And my goodness, that is it. He is further back now because he's got no rear wing. Oh, he's going to have to be careful here going into the braking zone. Basic Ollie is coming in like a freight train along with the rest of them. Well, I'll tell you what, if one thing about that Porsche, it'll be rapid down the straight now without that rear wing.
I tell you what, magically as well, it was just the fasteners for the wing itself that have dropped off. The actual mounting points on the car are still there. We'll see how much Pablo will be able to fight with still 3.5 laps left to go. But I wonder if there was contact with Kenny 500. If there was, I'll just say it right now, I don't think Kenny 500 did anything wrong. Pablo was going one way then the other, jinking back and forth down the straight. And what's the one thing that you're told in a driver's briefing? You're allowed one move and then back to the racing line, and that is it.
Yeah, so he is, he's struggling a little bit through these medium speed left-handers, and I think he will feel the effects of that a little bit as Dan Suzuki now, Basic Ollie. Dan Suzuki, by the way, has managed to get ahead of Basic Ollie through all of this as well. So Jardier leads from Kenny 500, and then it's Borja Zaza on his own in 3rd place, and then it's this group. Oh, into the pits, yeah, he's had to pit as Pablo Lopez. Here we go then, Arjuna. Let's have a look.
I think Pablo actually has a black flag as a result of all of this. So let's just see, though. You could see Jardier with all of that momentum coming with a head of steam. He goes to the outside, and I think Pablo initially thinks Kenny 500 is going to follow, but does jink back and I think turns himself on the nose, and heads up from Pablo to realize that Borja Zaza was coming. Some may think that getting off of the brakes in that situation was the wrong thing to do. Fortunately, it all worked out. Jardier, though, now leads with 2.5 laps to play.
Yeah, he has, and he's got his old sparring partner Matt Malone as lap traffic in front to come with as well. So yeah, this is going to be fun. Let's have a look from Borja Zaza's point of view. He's just driving along. He's seen those 3, and he's thinking, well, I'll just stick to my racing line. And then all of a sudden, he will see a car sideways, smoke pluming from its tyres. Where do you go? Well, nicely avoided there from Borja.
And confirmation that it was Pablo having a drive-through penalty having to come down pit lane. It wasn't because of the damage. Meanwhile, Casey Curran made it 3 wide a few moments earlier and now passed Basic Ollie back up to 7th. And remember, that's our championship leader. We were just talking about how with Casey's struggles and Pablo's relative success, maybe there was still a chance for Casey to be challenged. But Casey, as always, working himself forward and might not be done. A top 5 still a possibility.
Do you know what? This race has absolutely flown by. This main race has been such an exciting race, as there goes Quirk as well to the inside of Love 46, so moving up a place for Quirk to Tyson Mayer. But as they go across the line then, 2 laps remain in this race. Dave Cam's going a bit defensive into turn 1, but up at the front, Jardier, he's got the lap traffic of Matt Malone in front of him. Malone's playing sensible, decides to not get involved in that one, because that is your race lead here between Kenny 500 and Jardier. And Kenny 500 still close to a first win here. It could still happen though.
I think it still very much could be on the cards. It will all just be about opportunities, and if Jardier makes a mistake. Dave Cam on the outside of Heike 360, and here comes Dan Suzuki. He's using new pedals today, which I always find an interesting experiment. How can you adjust so when you feel underneath your feet? Well, he's in the middle, 3 wide, and not going to back out of it. Feels confident enough as Heike 360 for a moment gets out of the brake pedal. He rolls himself back onto it down the inside. Dave Cam backs out. Plenty of action still in this fight for 4.
Yeah, 3 into 1 in that corner just does not work at all. The race lead you can see on the top screen there between Jardier and Kenny 500. Below you've got the race for 4th, because Dan Suzuki, what a drive from him to get up to that 4th place now ahead of Heike 360. That's 5 places gained for Dan in this race. Casey Kerwin's joined the back of this gaggle as well. He's getting involved in here and getting excited. So as we're going to cross the line, Barney the flagman has 1 more lap to go here. The white flag is out for the racing here at the Red Bull Ring from week number 4 of the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports All-Stars, and it's Kenny 500 to the front of the field. Jardier runs wide over corner exit, doesn't get himself a slowdown penalty, and he's going to try and drive back up towards turn number 3. Through 2 they go, this sweeping left-hander, uphill braking. Kenny 500's not looking to the inside, he's not protecting it, but Jardier's not got it there.
It was, I think, Jardier just caught napping a bit by Kenny 500, throwing the move to the inside. And now has Kenny 500 got enough of a margin with half a lap to go? Still, this fight for 4th is going to continue going on. Heike 360 now trapped on the outside of Dan Suzuki as they work themselves down the hill into Schlossgold. Working through that corner, though, your race leader with a margin behind.
I think it was a slowdown penalty for Jardier. That means that he's had to drop back from the race lead. Oh, Heike 360 running wide off the track there. So he's dropping down now. That was Casey Kerwin getting passed up into 5th place. Recovery drive for Casey after that incident on the early stages of this race. But look at this, just 2 more corners to go for Kenny 500. It'll be his first race win here in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports All-Stars. Through the final corner they go. Jardier's trying his best to catch up, and look at him, vamos! He's so happy, he's got the fist pumping, and he is a race winner here today. Sensational stuff, and oh, there's Casey Kerwin across the line with Heike 360 and Quirk as well, trying to make it 3 wide at the line. My goodness, that was an exciting thrill ride of a race here today in the All-Stars, and as we take it to the Buzz post-race show, my goodness, that was excitement personified right there. It is Kenny 500 who wins that race in the end by less than 0.2 of a second over Jardier. Bolgezazo, Dan Suzuki, Casey Kerwin, Heike 360 and Quirk with Love 46, Basic Ollie and Emery rounding out your top 10. Then 11th place for Pablo Lopez ahead of Dave Cam, who got a black flag on the final lap. Matt Malone 1 lap down, and Stradi did not finish after that incident with the car of Matt Malone sideways across the track. Wow, that was sensational stuff. Here's how the standings look now after all of that, though. 102 points separate the front 2 of Kerwin and Jardier. Emily Jones and Tyson Mayer are tied on 103 points, and then it's Heike 360, 121 points back from them. Bolgezazo looking in from that top 5, but we're going to speak to a couple of our drivers. Now, Juna, you take it away with our main race winner.
And for the first time, a winner in the Porsche All-Stars. We saw the excitement across the line, Christian. How are you feeling right now?
Whoa, it's an incredible feeling. Yeah, I can't believe it. I think Jardier and Pablo was faster than me, but I can defend and overtake to Jardier at the last lap. And the feeling now is incredible. Yeah.
I've got to ask what's over your shoulder right now, though. Peeking behind your chair, that looks like a rather interesting toy.
Yeah, it's will pig. It's my favorite animal, and yeah, I love it. So it's the best place to him.
Looks awesome. One more race left in this Cayman, Christian. How are you feeling about the car?
For me, it's the difficult Porsche. It's the most difficult car of the championship, but now in Red Bull Ring, I feel better than Circuit of the Americas, and yeah, I can understand a bit more the car.
Perfect. Well, congratulations on the victory. We'll see you in a week's time from Watkins Glen. We head over to the second step of the podium, though, where we've got Yardier, who joins us now, still with somewhat of a smile on your face. But talk to us what happened on that final lap.
Oh, nothing. I just bottled it. Let's be honest. Nothing happened. I thought, like, I don't know. I just misjudged. I thought Kenny is a little bit further behind to the first corner, so I was like, oh, he's for sure not gonna send it, But obviously, like he had all the room there, and went like for a very aggressive but really good move into the first corner, and I lost all the momentum. Then I tried to like something in the next corner, but I just didn't have the balls to send it,
Well, you said on social media this is your second favorite track in the world. Fortunately, we've got your favorite track in the world coming up. How much did you enjoy today being here at the Red Bull Ring?
Oh, fantastic. I love this track because, like, as you saw in the first race, the massive trainer cars, like, it's perfect track because you have a slipstream. It's great for overtaking. It's fantastic for side-by-side. This is honestly, like, one of the best tracks for any kind of racing.
Well, one more question and I'll let you go. Nordschleife, why is it the best track in the world?
Oh, well, because it's Nordschleife, right? Because, like, it's a green hell. No, like, I mean, it's the best track because it has everything. It has everything. But looking at the grid, I think the quality will be just so important next time because, like, overtaking on Nordschleife is gonna be so difficult.
Well, congratulations on another podium. Hopefully we'll see you run well at Watkins Glen. Thanks for joining us as always, Yardier.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.
Wow, that was simply sensational is what I would say about that one, Arjuna. It was great stuff here from our All-Stars.
The sprint race was a little quiet, but in a tense way, right? We had Casey, Quirk, and Pablo at the front all duking it out. Then in that second race, once they all got their podiums and once they got filtered back to the very tail end of the field, that main race was something. And I have the feeling that's what we should expect next up from the Supercup drivers. It's one of those tracks where when you throw 30 cars onto it and you throw a blanket over them in terms of pace, so much opportunity to go side by side. Plenty of potential for moments like that where Emily Jones a little bit wide, a bit of contact as well, sent her around and took out some other machines with her. So much to look forward to.
Yeah, and we thought we'd had all the drama that we would have in this All-Stars race as well, and then it was that little touch right there that sent Pablo Lopez around, and it gave Kenny 500 this opportunity here down the inside. Well, if you thought the All-Stars were exciting, well, stick around, because coming up after this, we have got the main pros. It's bringing you all the action here in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup.
Chain swinging, clang clang, and it costs a lot. I'm always at the guala, yeah, and you are not bad. Beat, keep on going till you hit the spot. Whoa. Whoa, I'm a big bag hunter with the bow.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
This is virtual racing with real stakes. This is fine lines, milliseconds, and 200 grand. This is insane, but that's what keeps us coming back for more. The Porsche Heuer eSports Supercup by iRacing, live on YouTube and Twitch.
After 4 weeks of excitement, we head on over to Spielberg in Austria for round number 5 of the Porsche Heuer eSports Super Cup. And well, what a delight it is to bring you all the action. Paul Smith and Arjuna Kankapati. And well, Circuit of the Americas gave us plenty of thrills and spills, and the Red Bull Ring promises to be yet another one.
Absolutely. One thing that is carried forward from the Circuit of the Americas, though, is this theme of incident points. And I brought props. A wonderful beanie provided to me by the team at iRacing. Let's talk about the bank of incident limits. You're going to start with 17. Let's put that in the beanie. Let's say on lap number 1, you get a bunch of contact. Throw those out. More contact on the next lap. We'll throw that all out as well. Then one by one, you're picking up off tracks. Suddenly, drive-through penalty. What happens after that fall? Well, you get 8 more incidents. And we're going to go through this story. Through the 8 points in there, and then if those get all expired, you will be done for the day. It's something the drivers are learning to play with.
Well, what we will do is take a quick look at what happened last time out at Circuit of the Americas. It is round number 4 of the championship from Circuit of the Americas here in Texas. We've got a green flag and away we go, and it's a great launch from the front row of the grid. Pinto challenging Charlie Collins. Oh, there's a move from Oscari. We get cars check up. Oh, and it was Sarika and Alejandro Sanchez. You are, nearly losing the back end, but it's a race win in the sprint race. We're getting ourselves ready for the start of this feature race. This green flag and away we go. Not the best of starts from your front row, but they do go 2 by 2. Oh, there's another car gone flying off then, and that is going to be Sebastian Job. And there's a driver dropping down the order. It's Lassie back, and Jamie Fluke making a move, and Beneke's around. He wants a slipstream and lock up from Pinto. That's a mistake. The final lap, Pinto is back through. Look at that, the celebration. He's won the race here at Circuit of the Americas. Quite incredibly, our reigning champion got his first ever main race win last time out at Circuit of the Americas. What's coming up here today? Well, it's going to be thrills and spills nonetheless. But Jordan Caruso, he is one that's we've been keeping an eye on, because he has been doing a sensational job at the head of your field. There you see where we've been and where we're going to. We're at Red Bull Ring this week. Next week, we're off to Watkins Glen, so that's going to be a thrill ride before heading off to Spa-Francorchamps, the Nürburgring, the Le Mans circuit, and then finally, end of the season at Monza as traditional. But those drivers at the front of the field, Jordan Caruso, one stat that I've got for you, never won a race here in Pesk.
And we've only had one repeat winner over the course of 2023 in the form of Zach Campbell. What's keeping Jordan Caruso at the top of the championship standings? It's the same thing that kept Diogo Pinto at the top of them in 2022. Consistency, and consistently being fast and qualifying sets everything up right from the start. Let's not forget that we have Caruso with 2 of the pole positions so far this season.
And there we see Cooper Webster. Not a bad office for the evening here today. Sat alongside some Formula One cars of some sort. Yeah, he's at the Red Bull Racing factory, and well, he's sat in a warehouse with a load of Formula One cars. Not a bad place to be in the world, really.
Not at all. And for those wondering why Cooper has flown from Australia to the UK, he's getting ready to begin his campaign in the real world for 2023. Was going to be racing in GB4 starting next weekend at Alton Park. And so not only do we wish Cooper the best for his real world endeavors, we can't wait to see what happens for him here today, racing from the Red Bull Racing factory as the qualifying games begin and Zach Campbell starts his burnouts before he goes for his one and only time lap.
Yeah, the drivers need to prepare their cars and the tyres as best as they can. But here we are then. It is one flying lap per driver in qualifying. The qualifying is split into two groups. So Group A is those drivers 30th to 6th in the points. They all go right now for their qualifying run. And then once they're done, the Group B, which is the top 5 in the championship, they go one by one, and it is in the order of the standings, in reverse order of the standings, should I say. So 5th goes first from that Group B, and then lo and behold, the more that you go through, the more that you get towards the head of your championship.
Watch what Zach Campbell is doing specifically now. They're all working on a specific game plan for how to heat up the tires. Notice no lock really being put through the wheel right now, and as soon as he starts to work, as soon as he left the pit lane, it was hard lock either way. Whatever they figured out with the tires, it seems to be something that a red line in particular, we talked about it with Vecchio and Pinto last time. They were a bit surprised. I wonder how much they've had to learn, Paul, because this has been one of the themes of the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup over the many seasons, is maximizing the qualifying, because there you can see Zach Campbell trying to get the most out of it.
Yeah, we saw Apex and the Stoneforce Racing with Apex Racing Team. They really hooked it up last time out at Circuit of the Americas. Can they do it? Yet again, it was Alejandro Sanchez who set the pole position time last time out, and that was his first ever pole position here in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup. And well, let's have a look at these times when they start to come in now, and a few of you drivers will be getting themselves into those points. I do believe that Lassie Back is going to be the first one who does cross the line out of everybody. Here's Alejandro Sanchez, though, up towards the hairpin at turn number 3. Important to get the run out of the corner, because that carries your speed all the way along the top of this hill.
Not forget as well that we've already talked about track limits and incident points. That's irrelevant here in qualifying. You're not allowed to extend the limits of the track on your flying lap, and so that puts a certain amount of pressure on some of these drivers. Think back to round number 1 of the Hockenheimring, another track where we often talk about how close drivers will push to the limits. We saw 4 drivers fail to set a time.
Luca Kita and Alexei Nesov have fallen victim of track limits. They will not set a lap time here in this, so they will start from the back of the grid. Quentin Violate, the young Frenchman for that R8G eSports outfit, running through the right-hander at turn number 4, getting the power down, and the drivers all heading towards the final sector then. And as I said, it is going to be Lassie Back who does set the first lap time. Sam Keiter is the latest victim. He will not set a lap time now either in all of this. Lassie Back sets the target then, 1:30.2. Forget about that. Alejandro Sanchez, 29.9. Could this be 2 pole positions in a row for Sanchez? The times are coming in thick and fast here across the line. Zach Campbell up to 2nd place. He's had a nightmare couple of rounds, the last 2 rounds of the championship. He's wanting to get a good one here today. And well, it is going to be provisionally Alejandro Sanchez who is on pole position for us here today. But now Group B will start their qualifying times right now. And Cooper Webster, well, he is going to be the one who starts us off here in Group B. He's the one, 5th place in the championship. He's going to be setting that lap time. So he's going to come through the final corner. You've got to be inch perfect here, Arjuna, because as we've seen for a number of drivers, 3 drivers not set a lap time.
Yeah, all three of the Urano drivers then failed to set a lap time. Oscar Mangan, the Irishman, also joins them, and so the driver that sits second in the Rookie Championship can be starting all the way at the back. Cooper Webster nice and tidily through turn number 1. And one thing that you and I had kind of questioned is how unfamiliar an environment is this going to be for Cooper. A lot of the times we talk about within sim racing the fact that when drivers have their setup exactly how they want it, that's not just seating position, where the monitors are and everything like that, but all those little details that maybe only the drivers think about, they are able to find a little bit more performance. Webster, sitting in the top 5 in the championship, has been fast and consistently towards the front, but just needs a bit of luck to go in his way.
Well, we are joined once again by our provisional pole sitter, Alejandro Sanchez. And well, you were here last week, or 2 weeks ago, should I say. Once again, you're watching those lap times, hoping that you stay on pole, don't you?
Yeah, I won't be surprised either this time if it gets taken away, but I'm happier with this lap than I was with the one two weeks ago. I think it was very clean, didn't lose any major time, any place, so really happy with the delivery, especially considering I had an off-track last year, so it was weighing quite heavily on my mind, but we managed.
Well, Cooper Webster's going to be the first time to try and set one against you, so we'll just take a look at him as he comes across the line. So far, you do have the best first and last sector in qualifying as he comes across the line, does Webster. Now, only 13th for Cooper. So, I mean, that first and third sector, what are the key things about that you've been able to just pip everyone on?
The first one, I think I maybe took too much of the curve on the inside curve, but overall it was super solid and clean. It's just a matter of getting the brake point just on the right spot and pick up, the throttle pickup point as well in the right spot to not lose any time on exit, because it's quite a long straight after it. And the last sector is just a matter of confidence and not sliding the rears at any time, because if you do so, they are pretty much gone for the last 2 corners, which are really important. And also the last corner is quite, I think, the trickiest corner on the track. Quite easy to get an off track on the inside and on the outside. But yeah, it's just a matter of, I think discipline is the word, line discipline, and yeah, don't get too excited with the throttle on pickup, because otherwise you will just understeer off.
Well, Sebastian, sorry about that. Sebastian Job is just coming to come across the line right now to set his lap time here in qualifying. He goes 4th. He did not set a purple sector in any of the sectors at all. So 4th place for Sebastian Job. Pinto, though, he has been somebody who's been consistent, Arjuna. I'll bring you into this because he's been in and around these top 10s all the way through this season.
Yeah, Diogo's someone that actually jumped off into a very different machine, a prototype car last weekend for the iRacing 12 Hours of Sebring. Had a pretty decent run, finished second in that race. But I wonder for him, coming off of what's been a up and down start to the season, Long Beach really being the down, how he feels having gotten back on the horse. It's back at the Circuit of the Americas. Remember, Captain Consistent is what we dubbed him, and let's see what he can do in qualifying, really making the most of those track limits.
You can see Pinto in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. Comes across the line now to set his qualifying lap time. Goes 3rd fastest for Pinto. Well, we've just got Charlie Collins and Jordan Caruso to go here. And well, so far, so good. 3rd place is the worst that you could be, Alejandro. I mean, 2nd row of the grid isn't a bad place to start around here.
Yeah, it isn't. It's just a matter of staying off incidents. We saw last year that it was quite a moving race. Yeah, just a matter of staying off the incidents, don't hit the incident limit, and don't get DQ'd. That's the key, and save your incidents for the last couple laps.
Well, one thing I do want to touch on as well is how important is it with the grid inversion, that top 8? You know, do you concentrate on getting the best result you can in race number 1, or do you just pick up what points you can in that top 8 to make sure you're in that grid invert?
Statistically, as I said 2 weeks ago, top 3 finishes are my thing in the sprint, because every time I've done that, except for last week, I've been taken out or had major issues. So yeah, it's just a matter of, now I'm just focusing on getting the most amount of points possible, both in the sprint and the feature. So I'm just here for the ride, you know, not really have any expectations, so just here to have fun.
Well, Charlie Collins has qualified 13th, so you're going to be starting front row of the grid here. And Arjuna, Jordan Caruso, he's got just a few corners left to go here. And Caruso, with 2 pole positions already this season, he'll be hoping for another one here.
We talked about it at the very start of the season, before we even dived into the qualifying at the Hockenheim Ring. Qualifying sets the tempo for the rest of the races. Not just, of course, your grid position, but then, of course, how much fighting you might have to do with that inversion. And so with points being paid out as well, Caruso has established this margin at the front due to just his consistency. And with Charlie Collins being down in 13th position, it's a prime opportunity for Caruso to find his way to more valuable points.
Well, Caruso's not set any purple sectors at all. He's going to come across the line. We see where he qualifies himself. It's second. Alejandro Sanchez, 2 rounds in a row. You're on pole position.
Yeah, back to back. Really happy with it. Thanks to the team for giving us a super quick car and qualifying at least, as we've seen. So yeah, looking forward to the sprint and the feature now.
Well, go and prepare yourself for that sprint race. But congratulations, Alejandro.
Thank you very much.
So there we go. Pole sitter from Group A once again here is Alejandro Sanchez, and he is your Tag Heuer Pole Award winner. And what more, that gets him closer to potentially getting himself a Tag Heuer connected watch, because the person with the most pole positions in the season, well, he gets himself that Tag Heuer connected watch. Both him and Jordan Caruso have 2 pole positions this season, Arjuna.
Let's not forget Alejandro Sanchez got a double podium last time as well at the Circuit of the Americas, so there is a bit of momentum on the side of the Spaniard. And how feisty and fiery was he coming across the line to grab that first victory? It was such a delight to be able to see the pleasure on his face. A lot of times in sim racing we see the negatives. It's great to be able to talk about the positives.
Absolutely, and it has been pointed out that I may well be Alejandro Sanchez's good luck charm here in qualifying, because both times that I've interviewed him here in the commentary booth, he's got pole position. He'll be wanting to be here every round.
No, absolutely. I was just thinking as well, I mentioned Diogo Pinto's endeavors over at Sebring a week ago. His teammate Gianni Vecchio, who won that race in the GT3, not here in the field from what I could see. So I was about to say some momentum on the side for Gianni, as he would have come over to the Red Bull Ring. But it's not going to be the case here today. Remember, 63 meters of elevation change on the climb up into turn number 3. And then, of course, add that as you work your way back down to the start-finish line. We've already seen the All-Stars prove just how hectic the race is going to be, Paul. I can't wait to see what the 29 Super Cup drivers have in store for us.
Well, it's going to be a hard job for Charlie Collins from where he qualified down in 14th, but Jordan Caruso is going to be joining our pole sitter Alejandro Sanchez on row number 1. Zach Campbell, Diogo Pinto row 2 with Julian Sonnen, great qualifying for the R8G driver, and Sebastian Job on row number 3. 4th row of the grid here, it is Jamie Fluke and Bryn Collins. Good bounce back from Bryn with Thomas Tetela and Marina Sarika, row number 5. 6th row is Biko and Dambits. Row 7 for Ariel and Collins. Charlie Collins, he'll be finding it hard from 14th. Lassie Back and Matthias Stuckbeck with Max Benneker down on row number 9 and Cooper Webster alongside him. He'll be disappointed with that qualifying. Salva Talons back there on row 10 with Kevin Nielsen, Quentin Violette and Johan Half with Simone Maria Machina and Oskari Reen rounding out row number 12. Row 13 for Bobby Zelensky, Luka Kita, Alex Inesov, Sam Keiter and Oscar Mangan. All of those drivers did not set a lap time there. We've just got a few moments to go here, Arjuna. Sprint race, we've seen from the All-Stars how close you can race around here, but these drivers, there's nothing that separates them at all. How will they sort themselves out on the track?
There's one interesting talking point that I'm looking forward to in the qualifying series that you can learn more about by heading on to iRacing.com/PESC. These drivers ran at the Red Bull Ring, but in the shortened configuration. We didn't run up into turn number 3, and there was plenty of drama. The drivers that are new to the series maybe have a bit of knowledge that they can bring from that, but there are veterans of this series. Alejandro Sanchez talked about the off-track he had in qualifying a year ago. That clearly weighed in his mind. What more have they been able to carry forward here to 2023?
Don't forget to, if you are looking at this and wondering how you get joined to iRacing, it's iRacing.com for joining up. 40% off of all new memberships. But the drivers now will look towards the starters gantry and get themselves set for 10 laps of racing here in the sprint race of the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup, round number 5 from the Red Bull Ring. It's a great start from pole position for Alejandro Sanchez. Oh, Jordan Caruso's following him towards turn number 1. Can they all get through nice and clean? Running wide there was Zach Campbell through turn number 1. Rest of your field running through nice and clean. As they head on through turn number 2 now towards the hairpin. This is where it'll really have a big concertina effect. And Diogo Pinto moved ahead of Zach Campbell. Campbell's making the move back on Pinto. Down the inside, Pinto's had to run wide. They're going 3 wide, multiple cars back in that pack. So Pinto loses that 3rd place that he gained on turn number 1. Meanwhile, Julian Sonnen trying to make up for his brilliant qualifying in this opening sprint race. He's in 5th place, but he's got former champion, 2020 champion Sebastian Job alongside him as more fighting further down your field. This is exactly what we expected here, Arjuna.
And this is where they got to be careful. In through the double left-hander for the very first time. It's side by side, basically outside of your top 10. Those inside of the top 8 transfer spots not willing to fight just yet as they rumble their way in towards the final sector. Zach Campbell has already shown something. He's got nothing to lose outside of the championship equation. He is basically fighting just to win a couple of races. The likes of Pinto, Caruso and Job should watch out for the young Georgian.
One driver who's been struggling in this opening is Charlie Collins. He's lost a place down to 15th in the early running here. The driver who's in 2nd place in the championship. Oh, we're going to slow down, penalty down the start and finish straight for Matthias Stuckback. So he's dropping down the order in this race. But it's Sanchez, Caruso, Campbell, Pinto, Job, Sonnen, Fluke and Bryn Collins in 8th place. And 8th place is where those drivers outside of the top 8 want to be, because that gets you pole position for the main race here today. So Dambits and Tetela, they're duking it out further down your field. You can see the timing tower on the left-hand side moving away, and I think we had some tyre smoke very briefly then on screen. So something's happened and something's afoot a bit further down your field. And well, there's Quentin Violate, who's facing the wrong way, along with a number of cars, including, is that Bobby Zelensky? It is.
Bobby Zelensky, Oscar Mangan as well, and so turn 3 has claimed some victims here on lap number 2. Important to note that for the majority of the drivers fighting for that 8th position, the inverted pole for our main event, they are all mostly drivers sitting outside of the top 15. The drivers that therefore at the end of the season would maintain their Super Cup license. It's very important for the likes of Moreno Sorico, Tumas Tatala, who are on the outside looking in to consolidate, and there are some really good points that could be on the board if they do finish up in 8th. So watch the fight there, with some drivers very much looking to get the elbows out.
Yeah, and elbows out is what you get here in this championship, but the front 5 just making a little bit of a run here and a little bit of a gap for them. So as they go through, and well, look at Pinto. He's looking like he wants to make moves on Zach Campbell. He wants to get back here on Campbell into turn number 3, where Zach made that move on lap number 1 and does so. And Sebastian Job, well, he's going to try and take advantage of that. Ever the opportunist, Sebastian, but no, has to just slide in behind Zach Campbell. And Pinto going ultra defensive in towards turn number 4. But is Zach Campbell holding back? Is he going to try and get the cutback here through turn number 4? It's not going to happen this time, but well, the intentions are being set here by some of your drivers, Arjuna.
Sebastian Job enjoyed some time with Cooper Webster at the Oracle Red Bull Racing factory, behind them fighting for inside the top 5. Here's what happened though on that climb up in towards turn 3. Violate is going to get tagged by one of the Urano eSports cars, and then Mangan gets the concertina effect through all of that, and poor Bobby Zelensky with nowhere to go gets tipped, and fortunately not up and over.
Yeah, that was the 33 of Alexei Nesov who got involved in that one, and that was the Urano car. Alessandro Bico in 10th place. He's got some intense battling happening behind him though, and one of them is Charlie Collins, your 2nd place in the championship, trying his best for that VRS Coander Esports outfit to move forward in this field. He's desperate to get to that top 8 positions because, well, Collins, he needs all the best, basically the most opportunities to score as good a points as possible for his championship.
If he doesn't get into the top 8, this race will be a failure, I think, in his mind after the struggle in qualifying, especially with Caruso running up in second spot. Job as well, Pinto, they're all up there, the championship contenders. Meanwhile, with Charlie Collins still mired back in this fight for 11th, 12th, 13th positions. And while behind, yes, you've got Webster and back going, or rather Webster and Dambits going side by side. And Charlie Collins really starting to stretch his legs away from those in 8th position.
Yeah, Collins will want those two to be fighting so he can just gap out from Cooper Webster, but Webster makes his way through, and the Oracle Red Bull Racing eSports driver manages to get himself forward. We're on board with Salva Talens, who started towards the rear of the grid here, up to 17th place then in this race, and he's got Thomas Tetteler alongside him as they go through the right-hander there. Up over this rise once again, onto the brakes and into the right-hander at the penultimate corner. But up front, Sebastian Job is under pressure from Zach Campbell, and look at the front. Sanchez is weaving down the start-finish straight. He feels threatened by Jordan Caruso here.
Caruso maybe has a little bit more speed underneath him, although I think he takes the off track at the exit of turn 1. That's worth maybe 2 or 3 tenths if you use it intentionally. Same thing can be said for the final corner. The bank of incident limits is real here today. Who is depositing, or rather who is withdrawing early, who is banking those incident limits for as late in the race as possible, coming towards the halfway mark this time by, let's not forget, the main race 20 laps in length. Tires maybe not such a factor here in the first race, although I have a feeling in the main race it will be a different story.
We have got cars off towards the rear. Matthias Stuckbeck is dropping down the order. He's had issues out there, but you look at how relaxed Caruso looks, but he's got Pinto, Diogo Pinto, your reigning champion, right behind him. So all of a sudden Sanchez can just focus forward and not worry about the young Australian behind him, because the Portuguese champion from 2022 is putting pressure on Jordan Caruso, your championship leader. Don't forget, you are reaching towards the halfway point of this championship by the end of these 2 races. We get a feeling as to where people stand in terms of whether they can win a championship or not as they come through that final corner and Caruso going defensive.
Take a look again up at turn number 3 as it all checks up. Stokeback gets a bit of contact with his teammate in the Fire SimSport machine, and as a result of that slides his way through the grass and back out onto track in the number 92. He's one of a couple of drivers that have had slowdown penalties today, Thomas Tatteler being one of the other ones, and he was a driver fighting for a spot inside of the top 8 to be inverted to the very top of this start for the main race. He's down in 16th position now. It shows just how important it is to be pixel perfect.
Oh, look towards the front of your field as well, because they're going to be neck and neck. You could see them just out of shot. There you go, Caruso side by side with Sanchez for the lead, and he goes and gets it. Jordan Caruso to the head of your field, your championship leader. He's never won a race at all, ever in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup. Could today be his day? Well, he's got another 4 and a bit laps to go to find out, but I tell you one thing, Sanchez, Pinto, Job and even Zach Campbell will not make his life easy.
No, I do get the sense, though, that Pinto and Job may not look to push the issue as much because they know they need to consolidate. Even if Caruso wins this race, that's fine. Pinto and Job have to finish. That is priority number 1. Again, though, just pushing the limits on the exit of the final corner, and Diogo Pinto with a great run up in towards turn number 1 will relieve the pressure on Sanchez by letting off of the throttle. But Sanchez, after that great run in qualifying, starting to come increasingly under fire.
You know, it was all the way back in 2020 when Alejandro Sanchez last challenged or really put together a championship challenge. And well, Sanchez could really go on a bit of a charge. He was within 100 points of your championship leader going into this round. Sanchez is feeling under pressure from Diogo Pinto here. Caruso could almost pull away here. We've got the race for the lead. Up on the top, we've got the race for 8th place, which of course is important for pole position in your main race. Sanchez and Pinto side by side through turn number 4. Sebastian Job is rocking up on the scene as well. He wants a piece of the action between these two. And Zach Campbell, he can sniff a podium finish out of this one as well.
The Oracle Red Bull Racing outfit in one part of the world on top in qualifying, and now Sebastian Job trying to back that one up. Sanchez is getting absolutely swarmed. He loses out to Job, will likely lose out to Campbell as well. Job, though, around the outside of Pinto into the penultimate corner, not likely to push the limit so much, wants to try and bank some of those incident points for later in the race as Zach Campbell uses the track limits to his advantage to get past Sanchez.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that, but anyway, he does get the position on Sanchez and moves up to 4th place in all of this. But Pinto now is 1.4 seconds behind Jordan Caruso. All of that fighting for 2nd place has allowed Caruso to pull away. His last lap was a whole second faster than Pinto's. That's how much fighting side by side does to you around this track.
We've been saying it since the very start, and so this is now exactly what Caruso would have wanted. 2.5 laps to just run his tempo and to grab his first ever victory in the sprint race for the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup. The question now, I think, becomes more behind. In that fight for the invert, you've got Bryn Collins in 7th. He's fighting with Julian Sun, and you've got Jamie Fluke right behind. Sarika and Biko, the Williams eSports duos, getting ready to get punchy as well. Look how they've all just congested in the middle sector.
Jamie Fluke, one of those ever-present drivers here in this championship. He is there in 8th place, and yeah, but looking back at Sarika and Bika and knowing that those two do like to make a move here and then in this series, they'll be desperate to get that 8th place, to get that inverted reverse grid pole position for the main race. But we're going to be 2 laps to go at the line here, and things are really heating up here at the back of your top 10, because Bryn Collins, he's concentrating, he's wanting to go forward here. He thinks he can get a move done on Julian Sonin. Sanchez seems to be just struggling with his car. I don't know if that car was more suited to qualifying, and his race pace just hasn't been here in the second half of this race. But he's ahead of Sonin. Meanwhile, further back as well, we've got Dambit back and Tetela going in towards the hairpin. There's smoke ahead as well, and Bryn Collins has dropped down the order, and that's why is a car stationary, well, slowly getting back up to speed. But Bryn Collins has gone from 7th all the way down to 15th now in this race.
Cooper Webster with damage on his car as well, and putting 2 and 2 together. It doesn't take Sherlock Holmes to figure out those two came together. Now the fire
wasn't with him. Cooper wasn't with him with Bryn Collins.
I'm pretty sure they were in the same battle. It may not have been directly related, but I think we'll see what happens shortly at some point in time. But Webster did pick up a bit of damage at the front.
Well, that is undeniable, absolutely. Marina Sarika finds himself in 8th place now through all of that, because Bryn Collins was in 7th before he got turned. And well, we're going to be getting a white flag this time by Max Beneke. This season has not been good for him at all. He's got a black flag. He's got a drive-through penalty. He needs to serve it this lap, really, or else he'll get himself a big-time penalty. No, he's staying out there. He is going to serve that penalty at the end of the race. But Bika in that important 8th place ahead of his teammate. Any team orders there at Williams eSports?
Well, the car in front is Jamie Fluke, and you were right, it wasn't Cooper Webster. I just got word that it was Jamie Fluke that was the one that got involved with poor Bryn Collins. We've said this before, Jamie Fluke has been dubbed the nicest man in sim racing. This season hasn't necessarily been that same way. Let's take a look at what happened, though. 1 lap ago, Bryn Collins fighting for that inverted pole position. Jamie Fluke down the inside, locks up the right side front, and poor Bryn Collins could do not much. And there was the damage. I was not wrong, Paul. Cooper Webster was part of it, even if it was afters.
Yeah, it was afters, that is for sure. But Fluke, well, I know Jamie very well. He won't be happy with how that went. I know he wasn't happy with how it went last time out with Max Beneke at Circuit the Americas. So I'll tell you what, though, he needs to race on and just get the best result that he can. and try and get himself the best result in the main race. But towards the front, Jordan Caruso never won a race here in this championship. He finished the championship last season in 18th place, but right now he is your championship leader and your sprint race winner here. Jordan Caruso for the Altus eSports outfit. Coming across the line then in 8th place is Marino Sarica for Williams eSports. He'll take pole position for the main race, will the young Italian. That's a great result for Williams eSports and their outfit. But Jordan Caruso, you could see the sigh of relief there, Arjuna. That's how much it meant to him.
He knew the job wasn't done as well. There was no pump of the fist. There was no celebration. He's starting from 8th with 20 laps now on the board, but 1.1 seconds clear of Diogo Pinto. What a drive from Jordan Caruso.
It is Caruso then that wins that race ahead of Diogo Pinto, your reigning champion. Sebastian Job, 3rd place, rounds out your podium with Zach Campbell. Alejandro Sanchez, your pole sitter, in 5th. Julian Sonin, great result in 6th ahead of Jamie Fluke and Moreno Sarica, who will be starting on pole position ahead of Biko and Charlie Collins. Oh no, it's just changed actually. Charlie Collins does not finish 10th. It's Gustavo Ariel who finishes in 10th place. Cusper Webster, 11th ahead of Christopher Dambitz. Thomas Tetler, Bryn Collins, Salva Talents, Oskari Ryan, Lasse Bach, Luca Kita, Sam Keiter and Kevin Nielsen. And then the final few on the screen as well. And Charlie Collins finishes 25th in the end ahead of Max Benneker. He must have had a drive-through penalty at the end, but we'll speak to your race winner from that sprint race. Arjuna Kankipati will take it over to Jordan Caruso.
Jordan, another great job in qualifying, and then start goes quite well. You get to the lead, and behind you they fight, and you break away. How are you feeling right now? You're a winner in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup.
Yeah, no, thanks for that. Yeah, couldn't be happier. My qualifying lap, I knew that everyone was going to take it really cautious not to get an off track, so I was like, I just need to put together a clean lap. It wasn't perfect, but it was just clean enough to, and I mean, P2 was awesome, and then I saw Diogo had really good pace behind, and I didn't want to be vulnerable to him going into the hairpin, so I was like, all right, I've got to send it on Alejandro. So, focus on getting a really good run out of turn 1, got the move done at the hairpin, and then sort of luckily they battled. Diogo's pace was mega, so, it wasn't easy to the end. It was still putting me under pressure, but yeah, really happy to come away with the win.
So it's what, 5:30-ish in the morning for you. We talk about it a lot. A lot of people don't understand, though, what it means for you living in Australia to be competing in this World Championship. Can you tell the viewers a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the sleep you get the night before the race is like pretty important. Like when you go into it tired, it's a lot easier to make mistakes and you're just not on it. So last night I was like, got in bed by 8 o'clock. I was asleep by like 8:30 and then got up at 3:30 this morning. So it is tough and it kind of makes it hard to like manage anything else outside the series. Like when your priority is to be on the sleep schedule for PESC, it's like it's hard to sort of let anything else affect it. So it is tough in that sense, but I feel like I've been doing a pretty good job of managing it, trying to get to bed early, wake up early, get enough sleep. But yeah, it's not easy.
Well, you did a good job of managing your bank of incident points as well. Let's hope it goes just as well in the main race. Congratulations, and we'll see you for 20 more laps in a few moments' time.
Thanks, guys.
So there we go, race winner, Jordan Caruso. Here's the highlights of the race in Arjuna, and it was a great start by Sanchez. And then, well, we seem to get everybody getting into a bit of a rhythm, but some moves were made further back in your field.
It's the way that it funnels down in turn 3 as well. It's slightly off camber. Initially, this was Bobby Zelensky getting the worst of Oscar Mangan, Alexei Nesov, and a couple of others getting tangled up. Track limit's a big talking point as well. I see that in some of our Porsche Twitch chats as well. Let's not forget bank of incident limits, a real thing. Maximilian Benneker overdrawn, had to serve his drive-through penalty, and that was only in a 10-lap race. Now we do 20-lap races. They were so much side-by-side duking it out. That's when Sanchez was getting swarmed, and Sebastian Job did a great job to work his way forward.
Certainly did. So did Pinto in all of that. There was what happened to Bryn Collins and Jamie Fluke. And I think that is what gave Charlie Collins a drive-through penalty right at the end. But one driver who didn't worry about all of that was Jordan Caruso. As I said, his first ever career win here in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup. But now he's got the arduous task of starting from 8th place on the grid here. That's certainly going to be an interesting one for him.
Absolutely, but don't forget, points are handed out starting in qualifying, so it's important to make sure you're as fast as you can be in every session that we have here in the Porsche eSports Super Cup. Don't forget to learn more. You can head over to iRacing.com/PESC, which is, of course, where you can learn more about the Contender Series and the qualifying series as well, because, Paul, we're getting closer and closer now to halfway through the year, and we're looking at the top 15 and who's going to hold their licenses.
Yeah, absolutely. Jordan Caruso, the nice 43-point gap now over Charlie Collins, who had an absolute mare out there, did Charlie. In fact, didn't score a single point in that opening race of today. Pinto, 3rd place, 56 points behind with Sebastian Job, 76 points back. Sanchez, don't write him out of this championship yet. So remember, maximum points for a week here in the championship. If you get pole position and 2 race wins, it's 85 points for those drivers. So there's plenty of points on offer here, Arjuna, but we're starting to see a theme as to who is in that contention.
You make it sound so easy, 85 points, but we know the reality of going from 8th in the feature race to the front is very, very difficult. 85 points is unlikely, but Caruso is going to be very excited about how his championship has started off so far. Altus Esports coming in with not just one car this year. Simona Miramarceno also a winner. Oscar Mangan, our 2nd best rookie so far.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at my statistics here, because Jordan Caruso last season, I don't believe he actually even got, he did get 2-3 top 5, so he got only a few top 10 finishers, but certainly he'll be enjoying this season. But there we see the grid then. Sarika from Fluke, Sonnen from Sanchez, and Zach Campbell and Sebastian Job. That's the front 3 rows of the grid. On row number 4, it's Pinto and Caruso with Biko, Ariel, Webster and Dan Bitts on row number 6. 7th row of the grid here today for Tetela and Collins. That's Bryn Collins, Salvatallans and Oscar Reina in row number 8 with Lasse Bach and Luca Kita rounding up row number 9. Row 10 for Sam Keita and Kevin Nielsen. Johan Harv, who had a disappointing opening race in row 11 with Simona Marceno. Quentin Violatti and Oscar Mangan, row number 12. And the drivers who got involved in last lap penalties, Charlie Collins and Max Benecke, with Bobby Zelensky, Alexei Nesov and Matthias Stuckbeck rounding out the 15 rows of the grid. Just one driver missing from today, and that is of course the
Gianni
driver
Vecchio.
of Gianni Vecchio. Yeah, absolutely. So he's not had a best start to the season. We spoke to him last week, and he was having a bit of discomfort as well with a broken tailbone as well. So not had a good start. Here we see how things go. So the top 8 results from that first race will get inverted for the main race. The main race here, 20 laps. We've got about 17 seconds left, Arjuna. Who are you thinking is going to take this one?
I have no idea. This is one with Sarika, Fluke, Sonnen at the front, and then those that was duking it out for the sprint race victory. It could go anyway. Who's going to stay clear of the chaos? Let's go with Diogo Pinto. Let's see if Captain Consistent can do it once again.
Well, the drivers are looking towards the starter's gantry once again here in the main race of the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup, round number 5 of 2023. It's a good launch from the front row for Jamie Fluke. He gets the jump on Sarika. Can he get him into turn number 1? In towards 1. They hold their breath through there. Can all the drivers get through? And the answer is yes, they can. Brilliant stuff, but it's Fluke. Fluke to the lead for the Apex Racing team. He's got Julian Sonnen following him through here with Sarika trying to fight back as they head into turn number 3. They're almost going 3 wide into turn number 3 at the front of your field. They are 4 wide going into the hairpin further back in the field as well. My goodness, this is a sensational start here. Fluke and Sonnen up one place. Sebastian Job has got moves done on both Sanchez and Campbell here. Is going to the outside of Sanchez. Can he get that move completed? No, he can't. Zach Campbell trying to follow through there, but not able to do so. We've got one of the Urano cars dropping down the order, and already there's a little bit of a gap formed in the field, in the mid-pack from the front packs. Already 2 packs forming here in this race, but Arjuna, sensational start from Jamie Fluke and Julian Sonnen.
Absolutely. Zach Campbell initially was fighting with Sebastian Job. Job able to get in front of the Coanda SimSport machine. But Sanchez was unable to get past Sonnen initially, who then was able to find a way past Sarika. And so it's the R8G driver that has enjoyed a bit of a difficult start to the season, as has the entirety of Romain Grosjean eSports, that has a chance to put the pressure onto Jamie Fluke at the end of lap number 1.
Caruso down to 11th place. Not a good opening lap after starting in 8th. Down 3 places. Cooper Webster, his fellow Australian, making his way past him. So Caruso down 3 spots. He'll be just trying to keep out of trouble here in the early going, but he'll be wanting to move forward here in this race. Fluke holding his line. Sonnen holding the inside line, because Sanchez now is making moves forward. So the pole sitter from race number 1, was he setting himself up for race number 2? There's tyre smoke in the background of that shot there, so something's happened further back. But meanwhile, Sonnen now trying to defend from Alejandro Sanchez.
It was Kevin Nielsen, I think, that went around as far as SimSport continued to have a bit of a physical day. Meanwhile, Diogo Pinto up through turn 3, got the elbows out past Job and Campbell, and now they're locked in tussles once again, but with Gustavo Ariel now locked right behind them, and a bit of separation starting to build, as now Ariel to the inside of the Georgian. Zach Campbell trying to hang strong around the outside, and will be able to hold off the Texaco Racing by TK entry, as now here comes Alessandro Bico, podiumed in round number 1, and back up into the top 10.
Gustavo Ariel, currently the last place in the Rookies Championship. He's having a good race here. Finished the sprint race in 10th place, and he's moving forward here. We're up into 8th place now for the young Brazilian, and he is going forward. I know he's got a lot of fans as well on the Twitch feed as well, so they'll be hoping the best for Gustavo. But moving forward now, Fluke, half a second lead over Julian Sonnen, and that's because Sonnen is going very defensive on Sanchez. Sanchez going to try and take it around the outside into 3. Here's the view from onboard Jamie Fluke's car. He's just focusing forward. He's not worried about those behind for the time being, because he wants to get himself as far away as possible at this stage of the race.
He's channeling those track maps behind him, and I wonder if the Red Bull ring is there. Sanchez, though, on the outside through Schlossgold, I think more just trying to make it a 1 and 2 effectively for the Apex Racing team. Yes, Sanchez represents Stormforce Racing by ART, but Fluke and Sanchez effectively insist to cars of Sonnen all the way to the white line, but Sanchez still alongside, and now Diogo Pinto might try and sweep underneath the young Frenchman.
Oh, that's a cruel, cruel blow for Sonnen, but Pinto says, thank you very much, piece of candy to me. I will go through into a podium place. So Sanchez and Pinto now 1.1 seconds back from Jamie Fluke, your race leader. But we have got a long, long way to go in this one here in the main race of the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup. Paul Smith, Arjuna Kankapati here, calling the action on this broadcast. And well, we've got a queue of Porsches going down the start and finish straight. It's headed by Sanchez, and you've got to go all the way back to Thomas Tetteler in 23rd to find the back of this queue.
It's a long old train, and let's just reiterate that the bank of incident limits resets for this race. You get another fresh lot of 17 with which to play with. You saw a couple of drivers get drive-through penalties in just 10 laps. Imagine what 20 laps will be like. Sarika trying to go the long way around on Sonnen, but now he's compromised. Sebastian Job slides up the inside and up into the 5th position. It's all about, I think, jockeying type of racing now. You don't want to lose out in terms of being compromised down the next straight, because you're then going to be more worried about things behind you rather than in front. Gustavo Ariel likely to get past Zach Campbell.
Oh, nicely done for Ariel as well. So he moves instead up into 7th place now. He's been moving forward as Gustavo. 3 places gained for the Brazilian. Well, the TXC Racing by TK driver certainly doing the job here today for that driver. There you see him on screen right now, and he's eyes forward. He's not looking back. He's looking forward. He's got Moreno Sarica with in his sights right now. Look behind, because Alessandra Bico is trying to make moves on Zach Campbell. It's amazing how some of your drivers out there are having real struggles when they're being involved in the championship fight throughout this season.
Yeah, what a weird season it has been as we get closer and closer to the halfway mark, right? It's just been, again, before this round, we've had just one repeat winner, that being Zach Campbell. We'll see how this race plays up, but as it shapes up, it's Jamie Fluke that leads from his teammate, Alejandro Sanchez. One thing, Paul, that I do want to kind of talk about is there was this young Australian, his name, not important, that raced for Altus eSports in this very championship. He still races in this championship. He just now races for Red Bull Racing, the Oracle Red Bull Racing eSports outfit. Jordan Caruso, performances like this, how hard is Simon Feigl going to have to fight to keep Caruso as part of the Altus stable? Because, boy, is he having a blockbuster year.
It is a real year for him, and right now, as you say, reaching that halfway point of the championship, he is losing points to Diogo Pinto, it must be said, because Pinto's up there in 3rd right now. Caruso, as I said, dropped 4 places down to 12th. We're looking at the race for 16th here as well, because you've got Marcheno in front of Half, who's in front of Alexei Nesov. Nesov, get this, has gained 10 places in the opening laps of this race. He's your biggest mover in this field. Alexei is on fire for Urano Esports.
What a tough qualifying it was for them as well, with all 3 of their cars failing to set times. But despite the fact that Nesov had a bit of a struggle on the opening couple of laps of that first race, they've been able to fight their way forward. In Urano, red and black team, if you thought about red and black in sim racing circles 5 years ago, there's only one name that springs to mind. That is Team Redline. But Urano, over the last 12 to 18 months, continue to just find more and more speed in all sorts of different machines, have built up a really strong driver lineup as well. And Alexei Nesov, Luka Kida, and Sam Koitot are bringing Urano Esports, of course, the World Championship ranks.
I think he just waved at us on the broadcast, so is he keeping an eye on what's going on here in this race? I mean, come on, Alexei, you've got enough to concentrate on the cars in front of you and around you. Meanwhile, Sanchez, he is having to do a defensive drive on Diogo Pinto right now, because Pinto, he's wanting to move forward. He wants to get ahead of Sanchez to take advantage of Caruso being further down in the field to help him with his championship. Looking for the overlap, not there yet. Sanchez in 2nd place, though, has been gaining on Jamie Fluke in front. The last lap was about a 10th and a half, 10th and 3/4 quicker than Fluke up front. So Sanchez does have some pace in that car.
It's been great to see for Diogo Pinto as well, that outside of Long Beach, where he was embroiled in all of the drama, he has continued to be captain consistent. And it was why, Paul, when you and I were commentating on Pinto last week in that Sebring 12 Hours here on iRacing, we were so surprised that he made some mistakes. It's been another one of those seasons with Pinto where he's just found that flow in the car. Doesn't necessarily force too many opportunities, is willing to take the moves as they come. But just like Caruso did in the previous 4 rounds of the championship, Pinto once again up in that top 5 consistently. And if Caruso is unable to crack the top 10 coming out of this round, the points advantage that Caruso will have enjoyed if he had been up inside of the top 5 will very much be diminished.
Speaking of Caruso, in the foreground of the shot there, he made a move then, did Jordan. He's trying to move forward in this field for 11th place. That was Christopher Dambitz that he was trying to move past. Meanwhile, into turn 4, your leaders, well, they are coming together because Sanchez has caught up to the back of Jamie Fluke. Lap 7 of this race. There's still plenty of time left in this race to go. Plenty of time for people to hit the instant limit. And I do believe we've already got one driver who has hit that instant limit. Thomas Tetteler has got himself a drive-through penalty.
And remember that he's only now 8 incidents away from being completely disqualified from the scoring of the race. And so for Tuomas Tätälä, it's going to be a very nervous 13 or so laps. We've said there are 2 points in particular. Turn 1 in the final corner where you could gain as much as half a second a lap if you're going to use some of your off tracks. That's now half a second a lap that for poor Tuomas Tätälä, he knows he's not going to be able to enjoy as the heroic esports car down onto the pit lane.
And that's going to drop him out of the championship points in this main race. Remember, in the sprint race, only the top 20 score points, which is why we have points for qualifying as well. For the main race, it's the top 25 who score points here. And look to the inside for Sanchez in towards turn number 3. Fluke's not fighting it too hard. Fluke's going to try and get the run out the corner, and here comes Pinto. Pinto's trying to take advantage of that, running wide from Fluke. Down towards turn number 4. Fluke is hanging it out there alongside Sanchez. Well, any thoughts of there being any sort of team cooperation must have gone out the window there, because Fluke was trying to fight that one back, and Pinto has taken advantage. He's got ahead of Fluke now, but Fluke's going to keep it to the inside. This is all for first place here. Sanchez to the head of the field. Pinto to second. Fluke still there though. Jamie Fluke, the Northern Irishman, try as he may, cannot hold off Pinto. And here comes Sonin now. Julien Sonin trying to capitalise. Sebastian Job is almost pushing Sonin through there on the inside of Fluke. Fluke, can he hang it out there? Well, the answer is yes for the time being. Sonin's going to be compromised on the corner entry to that final corner, and that's going to give Job now the opportunity here. This is exciting stuff in the top 10, and we're only on the start of lap 9.
Still plenty more fighting to come as now Lasse back, the next driver I think that is potentially coming down for a drive-through penalty, and not even halfway through this one like Paul was just saying. Sanchez and Pinto maybe slightly breaking away, and Jamie Fluke may have to search a little bit longer for his very first World Championship victory ever. Job up the inside of Gustavo Ariel as Zach Campbell launches up the hill to make it 3 abreast, and the Georgian up to 7th spot.
What a late braking move. Last of the late breakers, Zach Campbell. And well, the young American gets himself to that place. He's holding off the inside. Cooper Webster's looking to try and get past Moreno Sarica. Alessandro Bica is running around the outside of his Williams eSports teammate. And remember, even though you are teammates in this championship, no team orders are allowed here in this championship, so you can... Oh, Cooper Webster's round, and is that Caruso? It is! Caruso's off with him! Sensational stuff for your championship leader, Jordan Caruso, all the way down the order. He's down to 22nd.
Former teammates coming together, and for Jordan Caruso, all he can do right now is focus on the next 11 laps. He can't let himself be distracted by what has just happened. He is down in 22nd spot. And we've been saying that if Caruso and Collins, the two that had been the consistent ones in the first 3 or 4 rounds of the championship, could keep it up, they could keep Pinto, Job at arm's length. It is moments like that that define championships, though. Pinto had his moment of going up and over at Long Beach. Caruso, fortunately, still on all 4 wheels.
One thing that Caruso needs to do now is, and you can see him, I mean, you can see he's disappointed, but he can't get himself wound up. He's just got to keep the calm breathing and just do what he's been doing and get as far up the field as he possibly can get now to salvage whatever points he can from this race, because that has huge championship implications, because one of your main rivals, Diogo Pinto, is in 2nd place. Here, have a look then at what happened.
So it's out of Schlossgold, and Caruso is a little bit further behind, so they're not side by side initially. You got the Williams eSports cars that were alongside, and then Webster tries to go to the inside of Sarica, and Caruso gets tagged with nowhere really left to run to. Fortunately, minimizes the damage and rolls back out onto track.
This is what's happened to Christopher Dambitz. Gets tagged from behind, and amazingly, Jordan Caruso it was, manages to have him slip past him. So Caruso got involved in one incident, and Naylor got involved in another incident as well earlier in that lap.
It's the danger of being in the mid-pack. We talk about it time and time again. And this is a series that at one point used to run with 40 cars on the grid. We're down to 30. We removed a quarter of the grid, and it's still as congested, it's still as tight, and it's still as competitive as it's ever been.
And it's sensational, and this is why we keep on coming back week after week here in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup. It is Sanchez from Pinto at the front. Fluke is in third place, but he's under pressure from Julian Sonin with the late move into turn number 3. And Sonin, the young Belgian, trying to get the move on Fluke. Down, up over the top of the hill, downhill towards turn number 4. And Sonin, can he get that move and get it stuck? He's keeping to the inside. Fluke to the outside. Can get on the power a little bit earlier and try and carry the speed around the outside. It gives you the inside for the next corner, but no. Sonin's through, and look who is right behind in 5th place with a gain of 5 places. Gustavo Ariel is a respecter of no egos and no reputations here. He is moving through this field.
And he bullied Sebastian Job up at turn number 3 as well, who lost out to Zach Campbell as a result of that. Remember, Job and Pinto are the two trying to maximize the poor day that Charlie Collins and Jordan Caruso are having. Gustavo Ariel still continuing to look on forward, but he did the number on Sebastian Job.
Yeah, so Ariel is a real firecracker and could be a thorn in somebody's side here today. Ariel's best result in this championship so far this season is 10th at Hockenheim. He's looking to get himself another few places and get himself onto the podium potentially. Meanwhile, Sanchez is feeling the need to break the draft of Pinto behind. Oh, look behind! Ariel dart to the inside on Fluke into turn number 3. Well, does he get the move done? The timing tower says yes. Our eyes say they're still side by side in the background of that shot.
Yeah, you can tell Gustavo Ariel looking to try and recover what has been a difficult season. Runs 29th in the points, and now up the inside of Jamie Fluke will make 4th position his own as he dives his way on down through the hill. And now next target in line will be Julian Sonin. I don't think this is Sanchez breaking the toe, by the way. I think this is Pinto breaking the toe and just trying to make sure that he doesn't overly close on the race leader at any stage. And I think Pinto's going to try and just bank some incident points and try and fight through the very final laps.
Pinto and Sanchez. I mean, Sanchez, you look at him, he's moving to the inside, and Pinto's just not even interested in following him there. Pinto's happy to run on the racing line right now. The front two are absolutely on it, but I tell you what, if I'm a spotter of one of these two with 8 laps to go at the line, I'd be saying there's a young Brazilian coming through called Gustavo Ariel right now, and he could be a dark horse here. And he's a wild card. He's not involved in any championship. He's just wanting the best result that he can get. He's currently 4th place. These two need to concentrate on just keeping that gap up to Julian Sonin, whilst also not tripping over each other here in this race today.
Into turn 3 they go again as we ride on board with the Portuguese driver. He's got his trophy sitting behind him as well. And this is the thing that always just, I don't think if it scares me, but it just always intrigues me how calm and steady they seem to be. Paul, you stream a little bit of your racing. I do a bit of it as well. I get pretty frenetic and frantic. I'm more like Quirk, if for those that remember the noises that we had to hear on the Porsche All-Stars broadcast. I'm definitely not like this.
I haven't raced for a little while now, I must admit. It's I've been taking a bit of a back seat as my racing compared to my broadcasting here, but Pinto and Sanchez, just the absolute focus from both of them. And Pinto, now is basically Sanchez by moving off of the racing line and Pinto holding his line. Is that Pinto sort of playing a little bit of a dummy on Sanchez to encourage Sanchez to then hold it on the racing line, and then Pinto then make a move? Is it a little bit of gamesmanship going on while Sanchez feeling the need to try and break the slipstream? 7 laps to go here in this main race of the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup round number 5 from the Red Bull Ring. It's Sanchez from Pinto at the front, covered by, well, you can see how close they are. Then Julian Sonin a second back from those two in 3rd place, and he's got Gustavo Ariel on his best day yet in the championship. 4th place for him. Fluke is in 5th, and so Sebastian Job gives a little hard shoulder to Alessandro Bico in 8th place. Job didn't want to lose that 7th, as we've got drama further down your field as well. Simone Mania Marcheno has taken a tour back to pit road. He is done for today.
He joins Lasse back in being, I think, done for the day as well, as they continue to just rumble at the front, not really pushing things too much as Diogo Pinto. Bobby Zelensky also now slowing down and losing spots as we get further and further through the race. Let's not forget that mental fatigue starts to play its part as well. We see the look of concentration on these drivers' faces, and it's not just physical fitness that a lot of these teams will focus their efforts on, but the mental fatigue and focus as well is definitely something that programs like the Apex Racing Academy will try and focus on with young drivers. And let's not forget that a handful of young Apex Racing Academy drivers have joined the main Apex Racing team as of this past week.
Yeah, they've been signing quite a few of those drivers to the main team. Here's what happened a little bit further back. So Marcheno around the outside, and it was a spin for one of your Urano cars, and Marcheno, I think, picked up damage in that one and had to take a tour back onto pit road. So his day is done, and yeah, that was Luca Kita who was involved in that one. Well, the race for the lead has closed right up at the front of your field. Sanchez and Pinto, they've been together all along, but Sonin has really closed up. I think he's picked up the pace because Gustavo Ariel on that last lap, I do believe, set the fastest lap of this race.
Diogo Pinto up the inside to the race lead, and it's all starting to kick up. Julian Sonnen really has brought the pace up, Paul, and you're right. There is now a 4-horse race for the lead as Pinto up the inside.
It's the 4 horsemen of Pesk right now. It is Sanchez and Pinto. Sanchez wrenches that place back from Pinto. Julian Sonin, he senses a potential good result here today. He can potentially get himself a 2nd place. He's looking to the inside of Pinto. Not going to be there yet, though, for the young Belgian. Well, his best result, 11th place, is the best for Sonin. But, well, Arjuna, you're going to be talking to one of your drivers who unfortunately is no longer in this race.
Yeah, unfortunately talking too early to Simone Mira Marcheno. Simone, talk us through what happened.
Hello, good evening everyone. Nothing to say, but I got like 3 times 4X, and unfortunately this is a track you cannot allow to get 4X. Slight touches, unfortunately gave me 4Xs and it's done. I got a DQ for exceeded X.
They're still continuing to fight for the race lead as well, but Simone, you've had a pretty decent first half of the season. You're up there in terms of the best rookies. What are you going to be looking forward to in a week's time at Watkins Glen?
Definitely working harder on the quali, and let's see, hope for no X's anymore, no 4X's, because Watkins will be another analog race to this in terms of difficulty, so let's see what it brings.
We'll let you go, Simone. Thanks for joining us and sharing your insight with the broadcast. But look at this fight as we come to 4 to go. Job is now in front of Jamie Fluke, although they're still side by side behind as they come into the final sector.
It's 5 cars for the lead. Sanchez, Pinto, Sonin, Ariel, Zach Campbell has now joined in this fight. Jamie Fluke's just hanging on ahead of Sebastian Job in the background of that shot as well. He's in 6th place ahead of Job, the Oracle Red Bull eSports driver. And well, across the line they go. There's going to be 4 laps to go. Bico's made a move on Job. Job's on the grass. Oh my goodness, Bico has now got Sarika through on Job. They're going to go 4 wide in towards turn number 1. Somebody please have the foresight to back out that one. Yes, Job did, and around the outside, who is that? It's the recovering Charlie Collins, one of your championship contenders. He's made a sensational move around the outside into 8th place. That's 17 places gained.
Charlie Collins doing the opposite of Sebastian Job, who saw his championship chances and decided to back out. Charlie Collins sent it around the outside and keeps himself within 30 points of Jordan Caruso. That is the live championship situation as they all play itself out, but let's be honest, still no idea if that's what it's going to be like at the checkered flag. They're fighting at the very front, they're fighting all over the Red Bull Ring.
There are a number of drivers with drive-through penalties. Mangan, Beaker, Dambits and Sebastian Job has got a drive-through penalty in this race. Oh my goodness, the drama keeps coming in this Red Bull, this Red Bull racing outfit. And well, Job seems to either go hot and cold here this season. It either goes really well for him or it's an absolute nightmare. Meanwhile, Alejandro Sanchez loses the lead to Pinto, but he comes back into the final corner. Pinto has to let them by. There's contact between the two of them, and it's Sanchez to the front, but Ariel to the lead. Gustavo Ariel, my goodness, the rookie driver, could he get a win here? The young Brazilian, my goodness, this is sensational stuff. Sanchez falls to second place then, but he's got Julian Sonnen and he's got Zach Campbell along with him as well. This is incredible racing here in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup.
They're 3 wide up the hill through 3, and Ariel will hold on for now as it's Sonnen this time that finds himself run all the way off the track. My days, this is intense. How many incident points do these drivers still have left? How physical then can they really afford to be? We're about to find out, because Pinto with the lunge to the inside of Sonnen, Ariel clear for the lead as it's Noah's Ark behind.
I tell you what, right now I'm calling it. This is one of the most exciting rounds of the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup there has ever been. Jamie Fluke to the inside of Sonnen. He takes advantage of that place and moves up to 5th place. Could Fluke be a dark horse of moving through? Ariel's running away at the front. He has had so much pace as Gustavo in this race.
Going back to the Contender Series, Gustavo Ariel finished 5th in the sprint, 6th in the feature. He knows what it takes to be quick around here and has shown up with a rocket ship, driven his way to the front, and Paul has got 2 laps with the best drivers in the whole of sim racing behind him, trying to deprive him of a first World Championship win.
Let's just take quick stock of this then. It is Gustavo Ariel who leads this race, the young Brazilian, by 0.6 of a second over Alejandro Sanchez, who, don't forget, set pole position for the sprint race here in this event. He was the fastest driver on a single lap. Zach Campbell, great drive from him, 3rd place right now ahead of Diogo Pinto. There goes the move for Julian Sonnen on Charlie Collins. Collins is doing a sensational recovery drive after finishing way down the order in the sprint race. He's up to 7th place now, is Collins. Wow, where do you look? It's drama, excitement, chaos everywhere. But my goodness, Gustavo Ariel now 7/10 clear. He's just got to hold it on the racetrack now.
Jordan Caruso, through all of this, is back up to 13th spot. Charlie Collins back up to 7th spot. 2 drivers at the front of the championship coming into this one that have fought their way back to still have a margin. Yes, the gap has come back. Caruso not so far separated from the likes of Diogo Pinto. Alejandro Sanchez, with the form that he's shown in the last couple of weeks, into the equation as well. Boy, second half of the season is going to be feisty.
Well, bring on the second half of the championship is what I say. This is the final lap then of this sensational, dramatic, incredible race. Pinto's moved back to 3rd place in this race, made the move on Zach Campbell. I think Campbell may be running a little bit close on the instant points because he didn't seem to fight it that much with Pinto. Pinto's looking forward to Sanchez, but I don't think he'll get there right now. But in towards turn number 3, how nervous will Gustavo Ariel be right now? You touched on it. He was a rocket around this track here in the Contender Series. He is somebody who could potentially be looking at his first ever win in the championship.
Remember, he got a top 10 in round number 1 at the main race. It looked like it was going to be a good start to the season, but after that, out outside of the top 10 in every single race, but he has not let his head dip, has still shown some turns of speed, and what a drive here in the Styrian Mountains.
And he's not had it all his own way here in this race. He has had to fight forward from 10th place on the grid. He's taken advantage of other people's mistakes here. He has seized opportunities as well, made some dramatic moves to get those places. But Gustavo Ariel has just got one more corner to win it for TXC Racing by TK. Here, look at the smile, the delight. He's won the race here in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup. Gustavo Ariel, you are a main race winner.
The racing may not be real, but the emotions are. Look at what it meant to Gustavo Ariel, who has poured his heart and soul into this championship and is now an iRacing World Championship winner.
Well, let's take a look then at how he got that lead in this race. Sensational stuff then. So it was Pinto and Sanchez. They were busy squabbling over first place themselves. Sanchez was going ultra defensive. Pinto decided, you know what? I'm going to go to the inside of the penultimate corner. Sanchez went, okay, I'll go to the inside of the final corner. Down the inside, they trip over each other, make contact, and look who's there to take advantage. Gustavo Ariel. He is a race winner in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup. And I said it in the commentary and I'll say it again. That is the most exciting, sensational, incredible, dramatic race I have ever seen here in this championship. And I've been here for them all. Brilliant stuff here, as we will very shortly take you to the Buzz post-race show, but he had to work for that win in this race. But Ariel, brilliant stuff, a tip of the flat cap from me for that one. But yeah, that is how Gustavo Ariel did get that race win in the end. That's brilliant stuff.
It was so well read as well. He could see it coming. He, I think, knew that Diogo Pinto was going to try something, and he expected the drama to come. Look at the shove that Zach Campbell and Sanchez had between them as well, all the way through the double left-hander. What a smile Gustavo Ariel must have had once he realized that fighting was letting him run away.
Yeah, and he just walked away as well at the front. What a drive from the young Brazilian, but what a race. I mean, you could basically watch the whole of that race, and it is the Bose post-race show right now. You could watch the whole of that race as a highlights package. Good luck to our editors behind the scenes who are going to try and give us some highlights there. But it is Gustavo Ariel, the young Brazilian, the rookie, gets his first ever main race win here in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup, ahead of Sanchez, Pinto, Campbell, Fluke, Sonnen, Charlie Collins important for 7th, Talon's half, and then Sarika rounding out your top 10. Keita, Reiner, Jordan Caruso, championship leader, 13th in the end ahead of Cooper Webster. Max Benecke, 15th ahead of Bobby Zelensky. Nessov, Bryn Collins, Stuckbeck, Nielsen rounds out your top 20. And then the rest of them, Biko, Violate, Sebastian Job in 23rd place in the end. He will be gutted about that, with Tetela and Mangan the last of your point scorers. Speaking of the points, well, here's the live things as we stand. 31 points separate Caruso and Charlie Collins at the front. 1 point back from those two there is Diogo Pinto. He is right in there to defend his championship. Alejandro Sanchez, with the form he's been on, is really caught up in all of this. But, well, let's take it over to your race winner and Arjuna Kankapati.
Gustavo, we saw the smile on your face. We saw the emotions. How much does this mean to be a race winner in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup?
Well, to be honest, it's a great pleasure to be here competing. At the beginning of the season, I was struggling a lot with the quali because it's a different technique to warm up the tires. So I was struggling because I was starting from P20, P18. Now it's P12, but I lost 2/10. So yeah, I think with myself, I think I'm not ready to join the Super Cup. But I started to train myself, and I did good times on the practice. I learned a bit more with the warm up of the tire. So now I'm really grateful with that race. I can't imagine. I'm the first Brazilian to win on PESC, so we won 2 races on the contenders. Now we won on the PESC, so it's a good way to go with my rookie year. Let's see if I can maintain the license until the end of the championship. It will be a challenge, but I'm ready for this. I'm really, really grateful for all the Brazilian guys on the chat, the Tony Canan support my career and something. And yeah, and no words.
You led me into my next question, which is that you are the only Brazilian driver in the series this year, but you're representing a name like Tony Canan. What does that mean to you? We saw your supporters in the chat as well. Everyone was here hoping to see success for you.
Well, it's quite a great opportunity, of course. I started to work with Tony like 2 years ago, and he supported my real life career because I won the Brazilian car championship. iRacing Formula V's and something, so he's helping me to get back on my real world career. So it's another great opportunity to work with him. He's very experienced. We don't need to talk about his results on the real racing. It's a legend, you know. So it's a great pleasure and a big honor to be part of the DXC Racing by Tony Canan. And I want to say a big thank you to all the sponsorships, Logitech, HB, I'm really, really grateful. I want to say a big thank you to my girlfriend too, because she's supporting me every day to training, and she's working at home and working at the outside. So yeah, it's a great pleasure to be here again and to win my first PESC race, and I think it will be good for my future on sim racing and on the real racing, of course. No words to say. I want to say a big thank you to everyone, and vamos!
Congratulations. Go off and enjoy this, and go watch TK in his race in the Brazilian stock cars this weekend as well. We'll move on over to the second step of the podium, though, because Alejandro Sanchez continues his rich vein of form that he seems to have found. Pole position in qualifying again, top 5 in the sprint race, and a podium in the feature. Alejandro, how are you feeling heading out of the Styrian Mountains?
Very happy. I got the most points out of anyone in this race as well, so really happy with that. Trying to close the gap to Caruso, but he's like super far away from me. But yeah, I keep trying and having fun. It was quite an eventful race, the feature one. The sprint, I got a big net code and lost a couple positions, but I think that played in my favor as well, because it gave me a nicer position for the feature, and that was key because I knew I didn't quite have the pace I had on quali in sprint and feature, so it was just a matter of, starting up ahead, saving tires, saving incidents, and not getting into anything up until the end. And in the end, all hell broke loose, but it was a lot of fun. A really good battle with Diogo and everyone who was around that. But yeah, really happy. Really thankful for the team, for the support, and to Stormforce for sponsoring the car and having the best looking car on the grid.
Apparently, this is the 3rd week in a row that you've also had a podium. From your perspective, first half of the season is now in the books. It's back-to-back racing weekends. We're at Watkins Glen next Saturday. What are we going to expect there? Because I feel like that's going to be more of an oval-style race.
Do you really want to know what you can expect? It's going to be, a really pack race, I'd say is the right word. There's a lot of draft. There's not many corners. Everything is straight. So a lot of action you can expect.
Well, we'll look forward to the action and hopefully a chance to chat with you again, Alejandro, because it seems like when we do, you seem to have success. Congratulations. We'll move our way over, though, to our defending champion, Diogo Pinto, who is able to work his way back up to the podium. Diogo, I've got to ask the obvious question, though, which was the battle through those final couple of corners with Alejandro Sanchez and the bit of contact that saw you escorted off the road.
Yeah, it was a really intense event, starting off with quali. It was quite a bad lap in quali. I had a lot of pace. And in the races, I was in the mix, in the fighting. That's what I want to do, get as many points as possible. And like you said, those last few laps with Alex were really tight. I ended up having to make the move on that right hand at the penultimate corner because everywhere else he was curving really well. Around here, I would say it's actually easy. I felt like it was easy to move up to the field when you're in the pack. But if there's a car in front of you without any slipstream, you can just enter the corners faster, so you don't have really a chance to pass him under braking. So I had to do it there, but then he fought back. I don't know, I look at the incidents, there was some contact at the exit, and then I had to slow down. But well, it is what it is. It's hard racing. I managed to get back P3, which is okay.
Like you say, at the very least, able to salvage the podium and also bring back that championship deficit to Jordan Caruso down a little bit. This was a wild round, Diogo, with so many swings in the points. How are you feeling, though, with half of the season now done and dusted?
Well, in terms of my own driving, this was my best first half of the season yet. I had that issue at Long Beach where I only scored 3 points. So looking back at it, it's frustrating because keeping the result side in the other races, but the position I was going before I shunted at Long Beach, I would have been with a very comfortable gap now in the lead. But like you said, things swing very quickly. I think the gap is like 29 points, 28 points to Caruso. So a lot can happen. My best tracks are coming up, so I'll keep pushing.
Well, thanks for joining us, Diogo. Congratulations on the fight back and looking forward to seeing you in the second half of the season as, Paul, we get set to go over to Watkins Glen.
Yeah, no race for the wicked, is it? It's because just next week we will head on over to upstate New York and Watkins Glen International for what will be, as we heard, a slipstream fest. It's basically going to be absolutely flat out on the old cut layout. So no bus stop chicane for all those drivers. You're not heading down the boot. It is just fast and frenetic for them. But Arjuna, what a round of championship we had here today.
Absolutely. It was April 1st, and so maybe people were expecting there to be some sort of joke when it came to the racing. But boy, we went to the Red Bull Ring, and were we treated to maybe, like you say, the best race that we've seen across of the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup.
Well, one thing you do want to do is keep an eye on the iRacing social media in the next couple of hours. That's all we'll say about that, because there's something interesting coming, that is for sure. But I'm afraid that is all that we've got time for here on the Bose Post Race Show and the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup. I wish I had a heart rate monitor in the commentary box here, because I think it was about as high as those drivers got out there on track. Sensational stuff here from Spielberg. We'll see you in 1 week's time at Watkins Glen. Bye now.